Hello everyone, CMeeCraft here, and welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be playing some stories from Soul, the Gun-Dog, which is a sci-fi adventure game sort of thing. Likely going to be the last stream of this, because I think we're getting close to the end of the game, so that should be exciting. As for future plans, this is the last stream of this week, but next week we currently have 2 streams planned. We'll see if we end up with more, but right now the 2 streams planned for next week are a Monday stream at 8 p.m. for AI to You, which is a fun AI-driven escape room game. And on Tuesday we'll be playing some more Danganronpa V3. And in that game a murder has just occurred, so I guess next stream will be all about solving that murder. As for how that's gonna go, I don't know. So some weird twists in that game already. So yeah. But anyways, glad to have you all with me today. Hello Alex, welcome. But anyways, that's enough chit-chat. Let's get into the game. Alright. Here we go. Yes. Following the murder of Dr. Rosarium, Lieutenant Lord takes command of the JFS Gun-Dog on the grounds that both the captain and her second-in-command are unfit for duty. As her first act, Captain Lord has Maris Bottomuse and Lieutenant Commander Quinn confined to their quarters on suspicion of treason. Alongside the rest of the crew, the ship's security officer, Lieutenant Craft, accepts acting Captain Lord's new command structure and is assigned to investigate the Gun-Dog for signs of espionage. Jovian Space, Central Hub. The Jovian patrol ship, JFS Gun-Dog. You step out of the elevator and into the Central Hub, running your hands through your hair as you let out one long exhalation. Despite every encounter you'd had with Vanessa to date, you hadn't expected her to be capable of something like this, let alone the cruelty with which she executed her plan. But here you are, or were rather, standing in the central hub of a ship now under her control. You'd managed to avoid being imprisoned alongside Cassie and the captain by agreeing to side with your new captain, a choice that had left you feeling nauseous. At least you had your freedom, though, to a degree. Looking around the central hub, you cross your arms. You'd been tasked by Captain Lord to continue your patrols around the ship and to look out for any signs of an intruder. There was no chance that's what you'd be doing. The only reason you'd side with Vanessa on the bridge had been in order to avoid getting detained like Cassie and the captain. If you'd been locked up, there'd be no way that you could prove their innocence. As much as it had made your stomach turn, you knew you'd done the right thing. But what were you going to do now? You go over a few ideas in your mind, trying to figure things out. Maybe you could start by... Hey, Craft! Huh? Yeah, you, Lieutenant. Who else? Oh, Ensign Rumney. What's up with you? You're just standing around in the hub, spacing out? You better not need to go to sickbay. Don't forget, we're down one doctor. You rubbed the back of your neck awkwardly as you'd been so ready to start planning how you were going to deal with all of this. You'd completely missed Haru standing nearby. Oh, it's nothing. I guess I'm still a bit out of it from when I was attacked. Is that so? Well, it's time to get it together. You got orders from our new captain, right? Yeah, that's right. She's told me to keep up my patrols. Look for any signs of an intruder. Ugh, guess I'm left on guard duty then. Where's Hansen? Why do you want to know? Because I'm the security officer on the ship. It's useful for my job to know where all the personnel are at any given time. I just... Planning something you don't want to get caught doing, huh? No. I was just, Take it easy, Lieutenant. I'm messing with you. You wouldn't be that stupid, right? Trying something on Captain Lord's ship when Hansen and I are on your case. I'm not. Because I'm giving you a heads up, Craft. I know you told Lord that you're on her side. Good call, by the way. But I know how loved up you and Quinn are, so Hansen and I were pretty surprised that you'd ditch her like that. Or are you thinking now's the time you can finally come visit my quarters? Not particularly, no. Hey, office still open? For real though, we're gonna be keeping an eye on you. Lord might be cool with letting you wander around the ship, but me and Hansen, you're gonna need to earn our trust. Which means that if we say you do anything weird, if we think you're becoming a problem, we're not gonna go easy on you. Got it? I understand. Yeah, I understand. Hey, there we go. I knew you weren't just a pretty face. Well, I've got some dangerous prisoners to keep under control. Sounds like you've got a job to do, Lieutenant. Catch you later. With a wink, Haru leaves you in the central hub. As if you didn't have enough to worry about, you now know that the pilots were going to be keeping tabs on you. With another deep sigh, you pinch the bridge of your nose. This wasn't going to be easy. Still, you had no choice. You just needed to keep them in mind when it came to whatever plan you were going to make. With more pressure on you to deal with this as quickly as possible, you head up the four-side thoroughfare. You need to come up with a plan in the least suspicious way you can. You decide that a meal in the mess hall is the best cover for an extended period of thinking. Right, now that I'm here. Guess I might want to actually have a meal. What's this game about? We are on a ship. Spaceship. In Jovian space, which would be Jupiter. We kind of... Our nationality is like from like some colonies on Jupiter's like moons or thereabouts. We were sent to investigate a kind of suspicious happenings in the kind of towards the edge of our space territory. Found a ship that was deactivated. Found an alien spacecraft inside, which is now in our ship's hangar. And then the first mate of this, or not first mate, but one of the inferior officers on this ship decided to, now would be a great time for a mutiny, so that's where we stand now. Okay, well, let's grab something to eat. As you begin to think about the situation on board the ship, you absentmindedly press a button on the food vendor, not caring too much about what will be presented to you. The sound of the vendor slowly assembling your meal from its stock of artificial ingredients fills the room as your mind wanders towards the beginnings of a plan. As it stands, Vanessa has taken command of the ship, justifying her actions using the captain and Cassie's indisposition during the blackout, the murder of the doctor, and her perception of the captain's inaction following the attack by the unknown craft. Of course, having two armed ensigns at her side had done a lot to help convince the rest of the crew to go along with her. Right now, Vanessa's the biggest problem. Even if things can't go back to normal, I can't let her remain in command. The best way to deal with this will be... You're jolted out of your thoughts by a sudden hissing sound. Thankfully, no one else is joining you in the mess hall. Instead, a plate of full of surprisingly convincing synthetic macaroni cheese is ejected from the serving hatch. You pick it up and carry it over to the table, where you place it down and slide into the nearest seat. Skewering a few pieces of the pasta with your fork and scooping up some of the breadcrumbs crust, you pick up where you left off. The best way to deal with this will be... Take care of Vanessa, getting the rest of the crew on my side, or handling the ensigns. I think you gotta start by rallying the rest of the troops, I suppose. You pause, thinking about the challenge that lay ahead of you. It was going to be tough, that was for sure. Is this something I'll be able to do alone? No. Even if I deal with Vanessa, Hansen, and Haru, the rest of the crew will still be a problem. What do I do once those three are out of the way? Just let the captain and Cassie walk out of their quarters like nothing's happened? After everything Vanessa said, would anyone still trust them? I need the crew to be behind me on this one. I know Vanessa's wrong. Crossing your arms and leaning back in your chair, you stare mindlessly at the blank wall in front of you, trying your best to marshal your thoughts. Wait. I know Vanessa's wrong. All I need to do is convince everyone else. If I can show them that her reasons for taking control are all made up, then there's no way anyone will follow her orders. Even Hanson and Haru will realize they're the ones who are going to be charged as traitors if they stick by her. They'll ditch her, no doubt about it. Then Vanessa will have nothing. I won't be able to deal with her on my own, but with everyone behind me? You load up another forkful of macaroni and raise it to your mouth. Long, glistening strands of cheese follow your utensil, and with a swift circular motion, you wrap them around the fork. As you take a mouthful, you begin to consider the particulars of your plan. It was easy enough to decide that you were going to get the rest of the crew on your side, but how are you actually going to do that? You pause, trying to decide. You need to convince the rest of the crew that Cassie and the captain were innocent, and for that you need to get the captain and Cassie's explanation, find proof it was them, or vouch for them. And they're right now accused of being traitors. Their word isn't going to be worth much. My word isn't necessarily worth more than Vanessa's and the others. So I need proof. I can't try to talk my way out of this one. It'll be tough to get the crew to stand up to Vanessa and the ensigns, even if I can prove her wrong. I'll need something concrete that I can use to show that the captain and Cassie are innocent. Otherwise, I'll have no chance of convincing anyone. With evidence like that, the rest of the crew would know they're complicit in a mutiny if they do nothing. But is there even any evidence like that on the ship? You lay your fork down on the table beside your plate and rest your chin on your upturned palm. Staring at the blank wall ahead, you let your mind wander. What kind of evidence could there be, and would you even realize if you saw it? As a security officer, it was your job to gather information about incidents prior to handling cases, or handing cases over to the internal investigations. But that usually only involved things like witness statements or data logs. The most forensic training you'd been given had been focused on recovering firearms or sealing locations to prevent people from tampering with them. You certainly weren't a detective. Picking up your fork again, you begin to listlessly push the meal around your plates. There's no use getting pessimistic. Either there was evidence or there wasn't, and there was only one way to find out. But if there was something that could prove the two prisoners innocent, where would it be? Sickbay, the bridge, or engineering? Well, we do have a murder going on in sickbay. So that's, to me, seems like the best place to start. Like, something untoward has definitely occurred there, and we need to figure out who did it. You mull over the accusations that Vanessa had leveled at both Cassie and the captain, that they hadn't been sick or incapacitated, that they'd been purposely absent, that Cassie had killed the doctor. You knew that wasn't the case, though, that it couldn't have been the case. You'd been there when Cassie collapsed and seen the state that Captain Bartimeus was in when the power was out. You'd been the one who'd taken Cassie to the doctor and... The doctor! Your mind jumps back to when you arrived in the sickbay. From the very moment he'd started trying to diagnose and treat Cassie, he'd been entering information on his tablets. He'd done the same thing when treating you as well. On top of that, the murder must have occurred in the sickbay. Dr. Rosarium rarely went anywhere else, and considering you'd been patrolling the ship, you'd have spotted someone dragging a body around. Triumphantly, you scoop up a large heap of pasta and take a bite, savoring the crisp layer of breadcrumb and baked cheese that came with it. You quickly wolf down the remainder of the meal and stand, placing the plate and utensils into the vendor's return tray. You had a plan now. Look for evidence in the sickbay to prove the captain and Cassie innocent, and then use that information to get the crew to join you in ousting Vanessa. With a brand new sense of determination, you head to leave the mess hall. But just before you leave, you pause. You were confident you could find what you needed in the sickbay, but would it be wise to limit your search just to that room? Shouldn't you investigate the rest of the ship as well? It was worth considering, you reason. With that, you step out into the four-side thoroughfare, your new resolution to get Vanessa out of the captain's seat filling you with confidence. Alright. We got a murder investigation to conduct, y'all. To the hub. It's just like Danganronpa. And as you press the button to call the elevator and wait as you hear the gentle whir of a motor coming to life somewhere. You weren't sure what to expect in the sickbay, but you were confident that if you were going to find evidence to prove Cassie and the captain innocent, it would be down there. Going somewhere, Lieutenant? You turn around to see Haru leaning nonchalant against the wall by the entrance into the four-side thoroughfare. I was just heading down to sickbay to take a look to see if there's something that was missed. Oh yeah, like what? The pilot lazily stands upright and saunters over to you, a quizzical look on their face. Just, you know, if there are any signs or clues about what happened down there. Seemed to me like everything's been figured out. Quinn killed the doctor, attacked you, crew saved your life by hitting the alarm. Then Lord paces together how Quinn and Bottomuse are the ones who've been screwing everything up for the rest of us. Or have you a problem with that? No, no problem. You lie. Lord, the captain asked me to see if I could find out how they'd done it all. So I thought there might be a clue left in the sickbay since Commander Quinn spent so long down there. Alright, Lieutenant. You keep an eye out for anything suspect. We'll do the same. Don't want to get into any more trouble, do we? You hear the whir of the elevator more clearly now as it draws closer. No, I guess not. That's right. Lucky for you that Hansen and I are keeping a real tight watch on things. Take it easy, Lieutenant. I'm sure you've got nothing to worry about. Thanks, Ensign. Once the doors are open, you step through into the elevator. As you turn back to face the exit, you see Haru still watching you. It doesn't take long for you to reach the sickbay, and as the doors open, you move slowly and quietly into the room, scanning it as soon as your eyes have adjusted to the lights. With no sign of the attack or no other immediate threats, you begin to walk through the room, giving everything you pass by a cursory once-over. Everything seems exactly as you remembered it. There's no sign that anyone had even gone to the effort of cleaning up the shattered glass which had covered the floor by the medicine cabinets. It left the sickbay feeling grim and somber, more like a crime scene than a functional room, but you took slight solace in the hope that if the glass had been left alone, so had everything in the room, including any potential evidence. You huff and cross your arms. Where to begin? Okay. Well, let's take a look. Let's start with this whole deal. Let's see. Much like on the O'Brien, the glass fronts of the cabinets that stored the various medicines and treatments had all been smashed with fragments covering the floor. You do your best to avoid disturbing anything, but still manage to crunch a few pieces underfoot as you look at the broken edges of the glass that remains in the cabinet's doors. No blood, no fabric, nothing caught in these shards. You step back to get a better look and hear something crinkle as you step on it. Turning back to see what it was, you kneel down to pick it up. Nutri-Shake mix. You turn the pack in your hands and notice that it's completely empty. Just like what happened on the O'Brien. I know it wasn't Cass who killed the doctor, and since this is the same thing that happened on the O'Brien, does that mean it's the same killer? Could be whoever's piloting that machine. But we've not seen any sign that anyone's been able to leave it. And why would they kill 2 doctors just over nutritional shakes? Ugh, it doesn't make any sense. What about the beds? Heading over to the emergency beds, you do a quick visual review that doesn't reveal anything unusual. Despite this, you take some extra time to go over them, peering into all the little nooks and crannies where the padded top joins the frame. You pay careful attention, looking for any unusual markings or damage or signs that someone else may have been around them, aside from Cassie and the doctor. Unfortunately, the only thing that you can find that would be considered out of the ordinary is an empty chocolate bar wrapper stuffed under the pillow alongside a few crumbs on the cover. You didn't need to be an expert tracker to know who had been here. Performing one final investigation, you check under the beds and notice a familiar purple wrapper. You got a silent voice. Oh, this must have dropped down when they took her away. Don't worry, Cassie. I'll get this to you soon. The desk. The doctor's desk. There'd be something helpful in there. Okay, I guess we'll use the desk. The doctor's desk, it's probably my best bet of finding something useful. Moving around to the side where Dr. Rosarium typically sat, you're relieved to find that the drawers are unlocked. You take a thick pile of files out of the top one and begin flicking through them, looking for anything useful. There's gotta be something here. You think, but there's a huge number of documents within the stack of folders that you've taken, more than you could easily skim through. After a few minutes, you place them down on the table and try the second drawer. This time, a smile crosses your face as you pull out the doctor's datapad. Jackpot! Pulling a sticky note off the screen and placing it back in the drawer, you took the device out of. You inspect it, looking for the power button. You find and flick a switch on the back of the datapad, watching the screen slowly illuminate as the device comes to life. The sound of a drive within it beginning to spin, letting you know it's still functional. Alright, I bet this will have all the information I need. Your elation is immediately wiped away as you're faced with a login prompt. Oh, come on! You place the datapad onto the desk alongside the pile of files, and sit down on the doctor's chair, placing your head in your hands. You had no expectation this endeavor would be easy, but you'd been hoping that at the very least it would have been simple. Unfortunately, that did not look like it to be the case. After taking a few moments to silently fume at the challenges that were being thrown your way, you realize there's nothing you can do but move forward. This can't be it. There's gotta be something I can do. With a long exhalation, you stand up, looking around the sickbay. You'd come this far. You weren't going to give up yet. Okay, let's take a look over here. As you walk over to the entrance to the surgery wing, the first thing you notice is that the typically clear glass panel that lets you look inside still has the frosted effect that's reserved for patient modesty or any procedure requiring discretion. With the rest of the crew accounted for and no one available to do any surgeries, you can only assume that it was left in place because the doctor's body had been stored inside. Can we take a look in there? Like, properly? You stand in front of the closed doorway to the surgery wing and tap on the frosted glass. You know the glass used is the same kind as the window on the bridge and would be pretty much impenetrable to conventional weapons, let alone what you had at your disposal. Looking to the nearby terminal, you take out your card and run through the reader. Access denied, insufficient authority. Tutting at the response, you pocket your card. You know access differs for everyone on the ship based on their rank and station, but as a security officer, you had access to almost the entirety of the Gun-Dog. If you couldn't get into the surgery wing, then it was likely only the captain and the doctor could. But with him dead, they'd either locked the card in with his body, or it had been taken when they left him here. You weren't getting in without one of those cards, and right now it seemed extremely unrealistic that you'd be able to get either. With a sigh, you gently tap the base of the door with the toe of your boot or shoe before turning away. It could be a boot. There's got to be a way around it. It seems like it's possible to circumvent everything on this ship one way or another. I bet the chief would know something about this. Okay, should we try using this? You pick up a few scattered boxes of medication and place them on the counter. You review each one in turn, finding them still completely sealed and with no obvious relationship between them. This one's for blood pressure, these are sleeping pills, some of these are antidepressants. The only factor in common is that it looks like they were all yanked out to get what was behind them, which would be You peer into the back of the cupboard, where all you can see is an empty cardboard tray with the product name printed on it. NutriShake Max, nutritional alternative, 10x 2 kilograms. If someone wanted shake mix, I'm sure they could have just asked. Oh, LeBron Lover, hey, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the Do Not Feed the Monkeys videos. This one's a little different, but hopefully still enjoyable. Let's see. I think that's all we can really do here, unless we want to use the beds. There's no obvious evidence that anyone else had been on them aside from Cassie. I suppose Hansen must have been resting on one of these beds at some point, but there's no trace he was ever here. Okay, so I think now we should head to... Let's go to the aft thoroughfare. That's the wrong thoroughfare. I want to go to the quarters, probably quarters 2, to see if perhaps there's a clue to the doctor's password in his quarters. You turn the corner into the corridor that leads to both Cassie and the captain's rooms and are immediately blocked by the 2 ensigns. Whoa, Lieutenant, slow down. Yeah, sorry, man, but this area is officially off limits, understood? Can't let anyone near these dangerous prisoners, you know? Captain's orders. Ease up, you two. I'm just on my patrol. Oh yeah? Why is that bringing you here? Don't think we've got this under control? I don't. Ease up on Lieutenant Rummy. He has a head injury, remember? It's kinda hard to tell, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt, yeah? Maybe they don't realize how it looks for them to be sniffing around their girlfriend's quarters when she's locked up. Oh, are you here for something else, Lieutenant? I told you, I'm just here on my patrol. Consider this place patrolled, Craft. Alright, got it. Good to see you two working so hard. Hey, it's like you've been told. We're busy keeping an eye on everything. You could probably learn a thing or two from us, Lieutenant. A tense silence passes between you and the ensigns. It was clear that they wouldn't be letting you anywhere near the set of quarters. That didn't mean being here was a waste of time, though. Hansen had been in the sickbay when you were attacked. Maybe he knew something. So you want something, or have we got to remind you that you've got a job to do? Well... about what's going on. Yeah, I actually wanted to talk to you about everything that's been going on. Oh, you do, huh? Well, go on, Lieutenant. What's on your mind? Don't you think what's happening is weird? That there's something bigger going on? Damn right, it's weird. Never been on a ship where the captain tries to get their whole crew killed before. Total first for me. Me too. That's not what I mean. Don't you think that it's... that none of this makes sense? Why do you think Captain Bartholomews? Who? Captain Bada... Huh? Why do you think Mayor's Bartholomews would do all this? What's in it for her, or Commander Quinn? Hey, who knows what that mess is up to? Maybe she's trying to kill the last 2 members of Calic Flight. Finally finished the job. Cruz, you can't. Can't what, Lieutenant? Seems to me she's always been on a mission to end herself and take everyone else with her. Maybe she's just sick of dying slowly and wanted to finish us all off. Cruz, that's... You want to tell me I'm wrong? Forget it. But don't you think that thing in our hangar is pretty weird? Couldn't this all be to do with that craft? I figure we're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Lucky for you, the JCF's greatest pilot is on board. If that thing tries to pull any more crap, I'll slice it to pieces before it can get out of the hangar. Huh. Hey, relax, Craft. We've got you covered. Just leave it to us. Is that what you wanted, or you want to ask something else? Well... About you two. How did Nessa get you two on her sword and all this? Pretty personal question you're asking there, Lieutenant. Trying to get at something? No, I was just thinking that it's not exactly like you guys got along with her before. Not exactly like she got along with anybody before. She must have offered you guys something pretty good. Damn straight she did. Way off this piece of crap to somewhere our doubts can be appreciated. We make sure the return journey to Europa Colony goes smoothly and the traders don't make any more trouble. And we're back. And then when we're back, Lord explains how we helped with a major security incident. We both get big promotions and boom, we're stationed on a cushy carrier somewhere with a squadron each. Beats running here for the rest of the time. How'd you end up on the Gun-Dog anyway? Same way you did, we screwed something up. I didn't... No way you'd be here if you didn't, Lieutenant. I didn't screw anything up. Whoa, take it easy, Lieutenant. No shame here, circle of trust. Circle of trust? You gotta tell them about how you wound up here? Hey, like I care, dude. I was just too badass. Get real. Hey, you know I'm telling the truth. They had me testing prototype armored frames for a while, right? Putting them through their paces, pushing them to their limits. Turns out I pushed them too hard, the machines couldn't keep up, so they got rid of me. More time that I kept hitting the limits of their precious series or whatever. Yeah, now tell them what happens when an AF can't keep up with you. Yeah, whatever. Reactor went critical on one when I redlined the thrusters and didn't let up. I had to punch out and the whole thing turned itself into space dust. Another shook itself to pieces when I did that again. Ended up sending debris flying into the sports ships. Yeah, it took out the bridge on one. They got rid of me after the weapons test went bad. I tried to beat the speed record on the target shoot. The cannon ended up overheating, magazine blew, shredding the testing platform, and half a nearby observation ship. Gotta give it to the armor on those things. Nothing left but the cockpit and the left arm, but I made it out. That's why I'm here. Since we're sharing crews, you gonna tell the lieutenant why you're here? 'Cause I got saddled with some real loser as a squad commander. Officers from the academy, no real experience, just books and simulations. Kept trying to tell us the wrong way to fight. Told that pencil neck that I'd kill more AFs than he'd ever seen, that none of the maneuvers he was pushing would work in real combat. He didn't like it even less when I tore his frame's head off in a mock battle to prove a point. That's the JCF for you. Don't want talent outshining the ones who paid their way to the top. So how did you, Lieutenant, since we're getting all touchy-feely with the heart-to-heart, you gotta tell us what you did? Like, I'm serious, I don't know why I was transferred here. It must have been a staffing thing. For real, Lieutenant? You gotta get over yourself, man. You don't want to share? Whatever. Fine, we'll change the subject. What else you after? Well... about Captain Lord. Are you guys really happy with Lord running this ship? What do you think's gonna happen when we get back to Europa Colony? You got a problem with the captain, Lieutenant? Something you want to tell us? No, I mean, I'm on your side, right? You better be. I just think... you reckon when we get back to the colony that the higher-ups are going to go with what she's saying happened? What if they find something that shows she's wrong about all this? You know something we don't? Nothing like that, but what if someone found something out that showed Vanessa was wrong? Hey, at this point, if something like that came up, it'd get us all in hot water. It'd be easier on us if that kind of thing just disappeared, you get me? Right, yeah. But no one's gonna find anything like that because Lord's got it all figured out. Lane's motivation, all stuff. When we get back to Europa, they're gonna be calling us heroes for catching a traitor and capturing an enemy machine. We'll finally get promoted to squad leaders on a carrier or something. I see. Hey, I know you're probably sour because it turned out that your girlfriend's been sweet-talking military secrets out of you this entire time. I get it, we've all seen how she fills out those skirts, no one would blame you. And Lord might need an attitude transplant, but what she's figured out about Quinn and the captain, it all stacks up. Trust us, you may have needed some persuading, but you've made the right decision. So is that what you wanted, or you want to ask anything else? Well... after a while, the conversation begins to flow freely between you and the ensigns. You never expected to be in this kind of situation. especially not with Hansen, but despite your lingering distrust of the two of them, you find yourself having something that could be seen as a good time. There hadn't been any expectation that you could get any really useful information out of them, but with how things were going, you were starting to change your mind. It was still a bit risky, though. You knew they still harbored suspicions about you, and if you pushed them too far, you might lose any goodwill you'd built up. I might be able to find something important, though. Should I risk it? I could ask about the attack. It's only natural. That's what happened to me. So, Hansen. Hey, what's up? When I was attacked in the sickbay. What are you asking about this for, Kraft? Just as part of my security investigation. Captain's orders, you know. Yeah, go on. I just wondered, did you manage to get a look at who it was that attacked me? Come on, Lieutenant, don't be tense. The privacy effect was on, so the glass was all frosted. Everything was blurry, all I could make out was you getting put on your ass. Did you see any details at all? Anything that could help us identify the killer? What, do you think the captain's wrong about it being Quinn? No, but presuming it is Quinn, right? We're gonna want as much hard evidence as we can acquire to, present to Europa Colony. We're gonna have a chat with her about this? I'm just trying to be thorough. You was briefly considering a different approach. How are you sure it was Quinn? I mean, I didn't get a good look at them, but they were definitely Quinn's height, shorter than you. The glass kind of messed up the colors on her uniform, though. Made it just look all black, but it was the same build. It had to be her. Besides, she was the only one in there when everyone got down to the sickbay. But you couldn't see that well, right? So it could have been someone else. Someone could have left. Calling me a liar, Lieutenant? No, nothing like that. I just want to be totally sure about what happened, so. What happened, Kraft, is that I saved your damn life. If I hadn't hit that alarm, then your psycho girlfriend probably would have finished you off, just like the duck. So instead of giving me the 3rd degree, maybe you should actually thank me instead, huh? Hey, I'm sorry. I just wanted to. Asking a lot of questions for someone who said they were with the captain on her side of things. You got something you want to tell us, Lieutenant? Okay, just forget I asked. But be careful, Kraft. I was kind of thinking you were okay, but you're making me wonder. And what we told you earlier. Alright, yeah. You know what? Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. With the tension suddenly higher than you'd like, you turn away to leave. Things hadn't gone well, but you knew that Hansen hadn't actually seen Cassie attack you. Just someone her height and build. On top of that, he mentioned the color of her uniform. Hopefully this would be worth upsetting the two ensigns. Okay, what about the other quarters? Unfortunately, I don't think... Yeah. Okay, in that case... Let's take a look at the hangar. Just get a update as to the alien vessel. You run your keycard through the slot in the terminal next to the hangar's doors. As the slide open, you're about to step through when you're stopped by a hand falling on your shoulder. Going somewhere, Lieutenant? You brush the pilot's hand away, responding brusquely. Yeah, the hangar for my patrol. Now leave me alone. You turn away from Hansen and make it to head through the doors again, but this time he grabs the top of your arm. Hey, what's the rush? Not making you late for something, am I? You yank your arm away as you twist to face him, finding his eyebrows raised at you. His expression a mix of cockiness and contempt. Just try and get on with my duty, Cruz. Might not be a concept you're familiar with. You snap before you can help for yourself. Oh, easy there, Lieutenant Kraft. We're all buddies here, right? Crewmates. We all serve the same captain, don't we? Your face twitches into an involuntary sneer at the mention of serving under Vanessa, but you manage to compose yourself before it's too obvious a reaction. Yeah, and I'm trying to get on with what I've been ordered to do. Hey, well, don't let me stop you, Lieutenant. I'm sure you've got lots of important checks to be getting on with. Just remember, Ira and me, we've got your back. We're keeping an eye out for you. Don't work too hard. You wouldn't want us to get worried and have to come find you. You grunt a response as you head down the stairs, feeling Hansen's eyes on you until the door slides shut behind you. Making your way down the stairwell, you adjust to the ever-decreasing gravity until by the end you're calmly floating into the hangar itself. The hangar is eerily still with no one in it. Used to there always being something going on here, even if it's just Dalton tidying the contents of containers or maintaining machinery. But with him helping the chief with the engines, it's just you, all alone. You hope. It doesn't look like much has changed since I was in here last. I didn't find anything suspicious then, but it's definitely possible I missed something. I should give the place another once over just in case. Let's take a look at this. You cross your arms as you look over the incapacitated machine. As far as you are aware, there had been no signs of movement or activity from it ever since it had come crashing into the hangar with you and Hansen. You couldn't believe that it was out of commission, though, especially considering how powerful it had been when tearing its way out of the O'Brien and forcing Hansen to push his Juno to its limits. Could a machine like this really suffer from something as mundane as mechanical failure? It doesn't seem right. Let's more thorough. The strange craft sits in front of you, motionless. It wasn't that long ago that it had nearly killed you and Hansen. If it hadn't crashed, it might have ended up killing everyone on board the ship. Just over a day ago, this thing had been the biggest problem you were facing. How have things managed to get worse since then? You couldn't help but feel that this craft was at the center of everything that had been going on. Its presence on board the O'Brien during its blackout, and its crew's deaths, Cassie's condition worsening shortly after it came on board, the doctor dying. It couldn't just be a coincidence. Despite your instinct, there was no sign that it was responsible for anything that had happened on the Gun-Dog since it had crashed. It sat still, totally inert. If there was a pilot on board, it seemed almost impossible for them to have left. You need to find something you'd missed previously if you were going to prove your suspicions true, but what could that be? You drift along the catwalk, grabbing onto a railing, once you're directly in front of what you assume to be the strange craft's main cameras. Due to the eruption of Dalton's sealing foam that had happened when it crashed into the hangar, the machine was almost entirely covered with only a portion of it visible. In spite of this, the sphere-like protrusion with the 3 lenses set deep into its surface still gave you the impression that it was watching you, as if waiting for the perfect moment to break free. You shake off the feeling and drift over the railing, carrying out another visual scan on the mass of solidified foam. Much like your earlier checks, you don't spot any signs of damage to substance coating the craft, and there's no single piece of exposed surface that seems large enough to act as a point of exit. Returning to the walkway, you rest on the railings, glaring at the tree of cameras. Eventually, it wins the staring contest, and you throw your head back, running your hands through your hair in frustration. I know this thing's got something to do with what's going on. There's gotta be. Halfway through your complaint, you open your eyes and stop as you notice a strange circular mark on the hangar's ceiling. Kicking off the catwalk, you float up to a panel of steel immediately above the main bulk of the entombed machine. You collide gently with the hangar's topmost point and begin to investigate the mark. Running your fingers along the perfect circle, a nearly half-inch deep track probably scorched into the ship's steel ceiling. You notice that around its edges are what would have been molten metal, now solidified into a small ring of beating around the ring's edge. The panel itself was totally unremarkable, and there was no nearby device or feature that would require maintenance. You couldn't imagine any member of the crew coming up here, making such a precise mark using the necessary tools, and then leaving it. You look back at the machine below you, seemingly just a giant mass of solidified foam from this angle, and move it to align yourself with the center of the circle. Once in position, you kick off, sending yourself back towards the craft. The moment you make contact, you run your hands over the area of the foam, which would correspond with the ring-shaped cut on the ceiling above you. Surely enough, your fingertips detect the slightest of ridges. Using your nails to find even the smallest element of traction on the foam, you begin to pull at its edges. It takes some effort, but eventually a cylinder of hardened compound begins to rise up. Gripping the mass in both hands, you tug, pulling at what ends up being nearly 2 feet of solidified foam. Holding it in both hands, you look down towards the recess that you'd created. There, on the carapace, like back of the strange machine's armor, you can see the outline of what could only be one thing. An entrance hatch. Leaving the huge plug of foam to float freely, you reach into the hole towards the hatch, running your fingers over, trying to find any control or a point of access. Unable to find anything with the faintest of indications that there was an entrance and exit into the craft, you stand up, grabbing the cylinder of foam and sliding it back into place. At this point, your heart was racing. So far, everyone had assumed that even if this machine had a pilot, they'd been sealed inside. What you had discovered presented you with evidence to the contrary. You ran in place as you tried to think over what this means and what you need to do next. The pilot was a threat, that much was clear, but you couldn't go to Vanessa for help hunting them down. You need to get rid of her first. Although you discovered this revelation, you still weren't sure that you had enough to take Vanessa down. You need to find something more. That's worrying. You're still grappling with what your discovery in the hangar means for the Gun-Dog and her crew as you step into the four-side thoroughfare. You're so preoccupied with your own thoughts that you don't notice Hansen leaning idly against the wall beside the doors, and how he follows you down the corridor. Hey, Craft! Something happened in the hangar. Looks like you got a lot on your mind. Oh, nothing. Just thinking about where to go next. Alright, figured you'd have been on the ship long enough to know you're on patrol route. Take it easy, Lieutenant. Just checking in on you. We noticed how long you'd been in there, is all. Didn't realize it took so much time to look around an empty room. Yeah, well, it's called being thorough. Also, we have, like, a massive enemy ship in there, so, like, you know, it's justified. That right. Well, Lieutenant, you better not take too long on the rest of your patrol. Why don't you disappointing the captain after she generously gave you this opportunity, right? Whatever, Hansen, get off my back. I've got the rest of the ship to check out. If you say so. With that, Hansen throws you a lazy salute and saunters away, turning into the corridor leading to Cassie and the captain's quarters. You're confident that he hadn't followed you into the hangar, but it was obvious that he didn't trust you. You'd have to be careful. Okay, fire control is part of our normal patrol routes. What, am I supposed... What? I'm supposed to be on a high alert here. You only just opened the door leading into fire control, but Dylan had spun around in his chair to yell at you. Whoa, hey Dylan, it's just me. Oh, Lieutenant. Captain Lord send you to check on me, make sure I'm not doing anything to sabotage the hugely important JFS Gun-Dog. No, Deez, I'm just here to check everything's okay. I'm trying to figure out if we have more traitors on board. Okay, Deez, what is this? This? It's nothing, sir. Happy to have the ship's security officer come check in on me just after he stood by and let the captain and his girlfriend get locked up. Totally happy to see ya. Gonna cooperate. No problems here. Having a great time, sat in silence, staring at screens to look for more machines that I can't even land a single shot on when the long-range targeting system's all screwed up. Can't get enough of... Dylan, slow down. I'm not here for what, Lieutenant? I had to drop in, make sure I'm not up to anything suspicious. Just a friendly chat. Damn it, Dylan, I'm not happy either, alright? Do you think He turned around and looked down the length of the four-side thoroughfare behind you. You hadn't closed the door after you came in, and although you were quite a distance from the crew's quarters, you couldn't be sure if the ensigns wouldn't hear you. You quickly hit a button that caused the door to slide shut and then turned back. Do you think I want this? Any of this? That I want Commander Quinn locked up in her quarters with no way for me to talk to her as we sail back to her trial for treason? You seem to bother on the bridge, or jumping at a chance to stop Lord. How do you think I could have stopped her exactly? Haru had a gun shoved into my gut, and Hansen had another one aimed right at me. I had to do this. It's the only way I've got a chance of getting either the commander or the captain out of the situation. For real, though? Dylan, of course because this is all a sting, you've got to tell me, otherwise it's entrapment, you know? Deez, do you think I'd really just let Lord get away with all this? Guess not. Look, Dylan, I did what I had to do on the bridge. I'm not proud of it, but if I didn't, things would be a lot worse. Right now, I'm just trying to make things right. With a long, extended sigh, Dylan slides down his chair until his head rests halfway up the backrest. Sorry for giving me all that crap when you came in, Lieutenant. Don't know about you, but I am straight up not having a good time right now. Yeah, I know how you feel. Lord, right? Right. With a frustrated groan, Dylan wriggles his way back up into a more normal sitting position. Gonna be honest, didn't know what the hell was going on up on the bridge, especially when crews started knocking the captain about. I mean, damn, right? I've got Queen Bitch running things, and I don't even know what's gonna happen to us when we get back to Europa. Definitely didn't sign up for this. So what are you doing, sir? You got a plan? Well, I don't suppose you want to help me take back the ship from the ensigns and Vanessa, do you? Gonna have to skip that one, Lieutenant. Sounds a bit more than what I'm getting paid for. What if I can prove that the commander and the captain are innocent? That Vanessa's going to go down as a traitor once the JCF find out what happened on board. For real? That's what we got. Well, it's something I'm working on. But my point is, if I can prove she's wrong, will you back me up when the moment comes? Dylan leans back in his seat, looking you up and down. So that this assessment reminds you of your first meeting with the captain. An event that feels like it happened years ago, after all you've been through. Yeah, sure. I don't plan on going down for anyone. If you've got something that shows Vanessa's got all this wrong, no way I would be on her side when the tribunal starts asking questions. Thanks, Dylan. It was good to have the gunner's vote of confidence, but you couldn't help a slight feeling of apprehension over how mercenary he was being. Yeah, no sweats. But hey, if you need anything that I can, actually help with, give me a shout, yeah? I'll see what I can do. Yeah, I'll let you know. Okay. So you can take a look at the screens. Some of these are still pretty fuzzy. I guess that means the long-range communication system is still down. Maybe that's for the best. At least it means that Vanessa can't broadcast her accusations back to Europa Colony. We'll basically be there by the time we're actually within contact range. Although if anything else happens, it means we can't call for help. Okay, yeah. Alright, well, later, Dylan. Definitely don't want to go to the bridge right now. If we go to the aft thoroughfare, though. Hold on. Central Hub. Okay, never mind. Let's see what's going on in engineering. Am I armed? I should be armed. You swipe your keycard through the reader attached to the terminal by the door. Instead of the door opening like you'd expect, you're caught off guard as the security device emits a series of harsh tones. You look to the terminal screen and see it presenting a warning in oversized flashing letters. Access denied, insufficient authority. You curse under your breath, peering down the long corridor towards the four-side thoroughfare to see if the ensigns had heard the noise. For hell's sake, Vanessa! You weren't surprised that your new captain had limited your access to the armory, but it was a grim reminder of how little freedom you currently had. You quickly head away from the armory entrance, not wanting to be caught hanging around by Hansen or Haru, and crossing your fingers that you wouldn't need anything from inside. Okay. It's engineering. Anyone here? There's no one here right now. I guess they'd be in engines. As the doors to the engine room open and you step inside, the cavernous silence that permeates the large chamber is cut through by the chief's booming voice as she yells a series of commands. Right, the collider is operational, so once the artificial boson's volume is high enough, activate the condenser units. Yes, ma'am. Volume at 50, 60, 70, 80% capacity. That'll do, start the condenser. Activating condenser now. You watch as Dalton applies all of his strength to a huge lever. heaving it upwards from its original position. A dull hum begins to fill the room, growing louder and louder as the turbines start to spin. Distortion identified in the chamber, ma'am. Keep an eye on it. I'm going to fire up the projectors. As the chief flips a series of switches on the control panel she stood at, the engine's rotation gathers speed, the hum that fills the room increasing alongside it. How's that distortion, cadet? Within tolerance, ma'am. I don't want it within tolerance, I want it within the optimal range. Yes, ma'am. Distortion within 15, 10, 5, within optimal range. That's better now. Ma'am, the distortion's moving back out of... Stabilize it! I can't, ma'am. The boson's volume is dropping and... Damn it! The chief immediately moves from the control panel over to a nearby set of digital gauges, and with visible urgency begins to punch various buttons and turn valves. Still dropping, ma'am. This damn thing. The distortion's broken down, ma'am. We've lost containment on the bosons. For hell's sake! Ease up, cadet, it's not you. Something's gotta be wrong with the condensers for the distortion to fail at that stage. Must be issues with the containment charge. I'll take a look at it. As the chief continues to mutter technical jargon to herself, Dalton immediately begins resetting the levers and various other mechanical interfaces that you'd seen him use. It was easy to forget that despite how nervous he always seemed, he was extremely well trained. With everything that had happened, neither of the two crew members had noticed you as you'd walked down a set of steel steps. You could tell from the tension in the air that this wasn't a great time to ask, but the chief was your best bet when it came to finding out how to bypass a terminal. In fact, it probably wouldn't be a good time in the immediate future. If you wanted to find out, you'd just have to get out of the way now. Hey, Chief! You hesitate for a brief moment as you approach the chief, who's currently elbow deep in some mechanical element of the engine, its covering lying on the floor beside her, accompanied by an assortment of components. Her frustration at the engine's failure to restart is almost tangible, and a sense of exasperation hangs in the air around her. You knew how serious she took her work, and how little she appreciated being interrupted, but if you didn't ask her now, you didn't know when you'd get another chance. Without her help, there was no getting into the surgery wing to examine the doctor's body for evidence of who his killer really was. You take in one long breath, hold it, then release it as you draw yourself up to your full height, hoping that by putting on an air of confidence, you'll be better received. What the hell's wrong with this boson flow? Injectors shouldn't be having issues maintaining the required input, so why? Chief, I know you're busy, but maybe the output from the collider isn't reading right? Boson volume could be too low to... Chief! Damn it, Lieutenant, I'm right in the middle of something. It can wait. Sorry, Chief, but this can't. I need... What do you need that's more important than getting this ship moving again? If I don't... You bite your lip at the Chief's response. There was no point in trying to be subtle about things right now. Either the Chief would help you, or she wouldn't, but first you need her to stop and listen. I'm trying to prove Commander Quinn and the Captain innocent, and I need your help. The Chief looks beyond you and towards Dalton. You turn too, seeing he gets still at his previous position, absorbed in his work. Before you can look back to her, she grabs you by the upper arm, dragging you down a gangway and out of sight. Run that by me again, Lieutenant. I said that I'm trying to prove Commander Quinn and the Captain innocent, and that I'll need your help. I was hoping my head was too far into that transfer conduit to hear you properly. I guess I was right. What's with this nonsense, Lieutenant? If Lord hears about this, both of us will get thrown out in an airlock. I mean it, Chief. We both know that what Lieutenant Lord's doing isn't right. If I don't prove what's really going on, then by the time we get back to Europa Colony, Captain Bartomuse and the Commander could be facing execution. If I can show everyone she's wrong, then we can get everything back to how it should be. You think it'll be that easy, Lieutenant? Chief, look, I know it sounds crazy, but right now, we're all going along with what Lord's doing because we're scared of what the ensigns might do if we don't. But if I can prove to everyone that Vanessa is wrong, the whole crew will know they'll be the ones charged as traitors when we get back. Even the ensigns won't stand by her then. After that, we get the captain back in command, and Lord gets locked up where she belongs. You don't think she's right about all this, do you? The chief stays silent for longer than you'd like, her glare piercing right through you, so intense that you feel like it might burn you away. Eventually, she breaks her focus on you, releasing a long, tired sigh. Listen, Lieutenant, I know about you and Quinn, but right now I've got a ship to get back to Europa and... Chief, I understand why you wouldn't want to get involved, but... You're damn straight I don't want to get mixed up in this. Chief, I need you. This ship needs me, Lieutenant. What good's getting the Gun-Dog back to Europa if half the crew is going to wind up dead when we get there? Best case scenario, the captain and commander gets put on trial for something they didn't do. Worst case, whatever is in our hangar right now reactivates and tears the ship to pieces because the pilots who should be keeping an eye on it are too busy playing prison guard. Which is more important, Chief, the ship or the crew? Alan, I don't need much, Chief. Please. Just your help to get into the surgery wing so I can look for evidence to prove that Commander Quinn didn't kill Dr. Rosario. If I get caught, that's my own fault. I won't tell anyone you had anything to do with it. Please. Your heart feels like it's hanging above a cliff edge as you watch the Chief's eyes dart back and forth, the conflicting thoughts she's having clear on her face. Deep inside of you, a feeling of anticipation begins to rise, but you quickly subdue it. You'd faced enough difficulty so far on this ship that you knew to temper your expectations. What do you say you needed, Lieutenant? The hope that you'd been suppressing explodes like a geyser, and relief floods through you. Thanks, Chief. I know I could count on. Slow down there, Kraft. I'm not going along with whatever scheme you're cooking up just like that. I know you're one of the good ones, but I've got my own back to watch out for. So what are you planning? Right, of course. All I need your help with is getting into the surgery wing and the sickbay. I can't get in using my keycard, so I'm guessing access is limited. Is there anything I can do, like using a PST? I'm sorry, I locked Rosarium's keycard. Maybe the captain's. If his card isn't around, you're not gonna get in using the PST. Thinking about it, it's just a standard access terminal, though, so... You serious about this, Lieutenant? Of course. I wouldn't be asking if I wasn't. Gonna prove it? What? I asked if you were gonna prove it to me. I got that, but what do you mean? Like your spunk, Lieutenant. You've done good work so far, looking out for everyone on board the Gun-Dog. If I'm putting my ass on the line, helping you out, I've got to know you're committed to doing this. I don't agree with what Lord's done, but I don't have a death wish either. So I'm gonna need to see something that shows me you mean business. Sure. What were you? A gun. A gun? Yeah, that's right. I've still got my electroshock weapon, Chief. Shouldn't that? Not that toy, Lieutenant. A real gun. You told you were gonna find evidence Bartimaeus and Quinn didn't do any of this. Get the whole crew to hear you out. But what if the ensigns refuse to listen? How you gonna make them pay attention? I mean, this isn't just for me, Lieutenant. It's for your own sake, too. Fine, if that's what it takes. Strong start, Kraft. Get back here with something a bit more serious than that stun gun of yours, and I'll show you how to get into the surgery wing. Alright, got it. If you get caught, though, I told you, Chief. It won't come back to you. Alright, then get moving. Thanks, Chief. With your part of the deal made clear, you begin to walk away, knowing what you needed to do. Before you get far, the Chief calls out to you. Hey, Lieutenant! Chief? Don't bother me until you're done. I've got engines to get started. Yes, Chief. With nothing more than a curt nod, the Chief shifts her attention from you back to the internal workings of the engine that she'd been disassembling earlier. You're already beginning to think about how you could get around the warning sent to the bridge if the weapons lockers are opened when you realize something. Vanessa's taken away your access to the armory. Any hope you'd had that this would be easy crumbles away as you begin to consider how you were going to get into the armory now. The ship's captain was the only person with the ability to adjust a crew member's access privileges. Did this mean you'd have to pay Vanessa a visit? You shudder at the thoughts. Although, we know that the alien is probably like, lurking around the ship. If that's not justification to allow me access to lethal weaponry, just in case, then, like, what is? Alright, Vanessa. You step into the elevator and press the button that sends it up towards the ship's bridge. The thought of seeing Vanessa leaves you feeling queasy as you think about her behavior when it had been the two of you alone together. You'd only been on the ship with her for a few days, but nothing she'd done had given you the impression she felt that way about you until then. You grow increasingly nauseous as you can't help but think about it. Did she really want you like that? Or had she been carried away in the moment, following her victory of the captain? Neither option was pleasant to think about. Still, you knew you needed to remain on her good side if you were going to get the permission to access the armory. Hopefully it wouldn't come to that. As the doors slide open, you step onto the bridge and, due to force of habit, announce yourself while saluting. Lieutenant JFS entering the bridge.
Oh, it's you, Lieutenant. At ease, I suppose. Hope you've come to report some good news on identifying how those traitors managed to send broadcasts undetected. Whether you got to the bottom of all that unusual activity?
You knew that what you'd found out so far would be something that your new captain would definitely want to know. But for the time being, you'd be keeping it a secret. You didn't want to give her any advantage when it came time to confront her in front of the crew. Nothing yet, ma'am.
Then why are you wasting time bothering me? Get back to it.
Well, ma'am, you make your best attempt at seeming friendly and enthusiastic as much as it sickened you to be this way around Vanessa. If you're going to convince her to give you access to the armory, you'd need to do everything you could to assure her that you were firmly on her side. I just thought I'd come up and make sure that you were doing okay. I know you're always working hard for the ship and crew, and that you've got all these new responsibilities. The obsequious tone you're speaking in makes you want to retch, but you push on. I thought that you must be under a lot of pressure, so I wanted to see if there was anything I could do to help.
Help ease some of the pressure I'm under, Well, Lieutenant Craft. Let me give that some consideration.
Of course. Of course, ma'am. Okay, I guess we can... I'm not sure if looking at any of that is useful. Well?
Lieutenant.
Lounging with a slight slouch, one arm on an armrest and her legs crossed, Vanessa turns the captain's chair to face you. Yes, ma'am, I was...
You know, I was just thinking out what you said earlier.
Ma'am?
About helping me out? Relieving some of this pressure I'm under?
A shiver runs down your spine. You knew Vanessa, and despite how coquettishly she was acting right now, you could sense her predatory intent. The smirk on her face as her eyes look you up and down does little to help, and you cough loudly to interrupt her. Actually, Captain, referring to Vanessa this way, still left a rotten taste in your mouth. I was hoping there was something you might be able to help me with.
Oh.
Vanessa sits up slightly in the chair, crossing one leg over the other.
As the captain, I'm here to look after my crew, so go ahead.
You cough again, this time to clear your throat, as the intensity of Vanessa's hungry gaze grows more unsettling. Well, Captain, that is, I was following your orders and patrolling the ship, looking out for more signs of unusual activity, and... Leaning forward, Vanessa places both feet on the floor, her legs shoulder-width apart. And I think I may have found something.
Oh, really, Lieutenant? What would that be?
I'm not totally sure, but I think there may be a few other crew members involved. I'd like to keep investigating for you. I know Ensign Cruz and Ensign Rumney are busy with the orders you gave them, watching over the prisoners, so I want to handle it. But I'm worried they might be dangerous. I want to make sure I can get anything I find back to you. The fate of your ship is at stake, after all. So I'd like to request access to a firearm from the armory. For our security.
That's what I ask, Lieutenant. I'm sure you've been performing your duties admirably up until now, but still. I can't just let anyone have access to firearms. Only the crew members who are devoted to their captain can be trusted.
Resting her elbows on each armrest and steepling her fingers, Vanessa leans forward, her legs shifting slightly further apart. Something changes in her eyes, and the look she's giving you shifts from hungry to ravenous.
How about this, Lieutenant Kraft? You take a break from your patrol for a while so that I can take you up on that offer you made earlier of helping me out. I'm sure I could be convinced to give you access to the armory.
As Vanessa puts this proposition to you, she sits back upright, resting her hands on her knees before sliding them up her legs. Rest on her lap for just long enough to make you more uncomfortable, and then she crosses her arms.
What do you say?
Your stomach is tied in a knot as you shift around uncomfortably. You were well aware of what she was asking, but was there a price you were willing to pay? The chief had seemed adamant that she wanted to see a gun from the armory as a show of commitment. Was that the only thing she'd accept? There was another way. You were sure of it. The chief would understand, and even if she didn't, you could find your own way around the terminal, a different way to get that evidence. Something that wasn't this. You swallow nervous and respond to Vanessa's question with a curt, I mean, this is an abuse of power. And let's think about the situation. So I need to get into the terminal at the hospital. The captain can, or not the captain, the chief can help me with that. But the chief wants me to get a gun. But I can't get into... Hold on, if the chief can get me into the terminal at the sickbay, then surely the chief can also get me into the terminal for the gun, right? But then again, even if I get into the armory, the issue is taking a gun from the armory will alert the captain anyway. Is there another way I can get a gun? I don't think I just like keep one in my room. I don't have the option to go into anyone else's room, so I don't even have the permissions for it. I don't know, I mean, we're kind of stuck here. I really don't want to go along with whatever thick things she's planning to do with me here, but we really don't have a ton of leverage right now. That's the issue. Not much purchase. Risk it? I mean, there's like a chance maybe she's like not asking for that. Maybe she just wants to hang out and chill. I don't know. Have a fun intellectual debate about ethics or something. Okay, where else could we get a gun from? Yeah, nowhere's like the fire control is about guns like mounted to the ship. I wish I could bring up the alien right now, but that just doesn't seem to be possible, right? I wish I could say, like, oh, by the way, I've reason to believe that the alien craft's pilot is actually aboard the ship somewhere, so please, I need lethal force, just in case I encounter it. The thing, too, is I don't know if, is my no captain going to foreclose this choice for me? Well, I guess if the no captain, like, that's from a game design perspective, the no captain, I guess here's the thing. If this is the only way, then no captain can't foreclose the choice for me, unless it's gonna just straight up give me a game over. Which it could. Right, I mean, there's a possibility where I say no here and I actually just get locked up. And then tried for treason when we get back. I don't know, we're on thin ice with the captain. Like, I'm just thinking of what our alternative is. I don't have an alternative plan. I don't know, maybe we could get around via the paneling, perhaps? But I haven't seen an indication that's plausible. But again, even if we get into the armory, taking a gun will alert the captain regardless. Not to mention, I think the alien's probably in the walls somewhere, so we might run into it. I don't know, we don't really have any leverage. We don't have any purchase here. I think we have to say yes. And I hate to do it, but... And my girlfriend's not likely to be very happy, but, like... I assume she doesn't want to be dead either, so... I'm convicted of treason and executed, so, like... And who knows? It could just be like a loyalty test, right? Maybe this is like an Abraham sacrificing Isaac sort of situation where it's like, oh no, I didn't actually want that. I just wanted to like know you were willing. She's a terrible captain, but again, I don't see what our alternative scenario here is. Don't think the chief will help with the armory, right? Yeah, that's true. She wants to see how far I'm willing to go before she helps me. I guess here is the answer. How far am I willing to go? I guess the alternative here, right? It's not just thinking about, like, can I get a gun? It's thinking of, like, do I have a means of subverting the... Because, like, I only need the gun if I want the chief's help. Do I have a means of getting into the sick bays thing without the chief's help? And, like, probably not. We could maybe talk to Dalton, but he's busy too, and under the chief, and doesn't have as much expertise as she does. So, like, I think we're stuck here, and I'm not happy or proud of it, but we just don't have leverage to do anything else right now, I think. Don't be so formal, Chase. Vanessa tells you, standing up from her chair and taking off her glasses. In fact, I order you to relax. As she walks over to you, she tugs at one of the bows on her tie, undoing the whole thing in one swift motion. You take a step forward awkwardly, raising your hands and almost stumbling over your own hesitation. What's up? Just in case, I'll have that up. You're caught off guard as the tie quickly looped around your wrists and drawn tight, yanking you towards her. And you can call me Vanessa. With you bound and at her mercy, your new captain tilts her head, stands on the tips of her toes, and then leans in, bringing her lips towards yours. You step out of the elevator into the central hub, taking a deep breath of relatively fresh air. The air handling system usually coped well when a room got too hot or humid, but in a small room like the bridge, that kind of mugginess could quickly become overbearing. You're glad to be down here. Doing up the last button of your shirt, you follow up by tying your tie in a full Windsor. As you thread the length of the wide end through the knot, you pause and rub the fabric between your thumb and forefinger, Memories of how it felt to be bound by this material intrude into the forefront of your thoughts. You force these memories from your mind and finish sliding the knot upwards. You'd got what you wanted. Vanessa had stayed true to her word and returned your access to the armory. Now all you had to do was use it. You'd get the gun, show the chief, and then get past that terminal. That was all you had to worry about. Well, she'll get her comeuppance. Grimly, and focusing entirely on what you're doing, you take your card out of your pocket and run it through the reader next to the terminal. The relief of hearing your access being granted encompasses you as you step into the armory. Now let's see. Okay, we need guns. You peer through the glass of the weapons locker, looking at the various guns available to you. Eventually, you decide on a submachine gun like the one Hansen was currently swinging around. At the very least, it'd put you on a level playing field with him. You got a submachine gun. Alongside the weapon, you grab a shoulder holster, taking a few minutes to put it on and adjust your jacket so that the ensigns won't be able to immediately spot your gun and start asking questions of why you're armed. Satisfied, you close the door. Part of me wants to just march up and threaten the captain, but no, we need to be... Can't let emotion get the better of us. We need to be strategic here. Alright. Chief, hey. You approach the chief, who's leaning over an exposed piece of machinery, looking exhausted, her sweat glistening as it reflects the myriad overhead lights. Hey, Chief. Let's fix the injectors. Another test should reveal if the condensers have... Chief! Oh, you're back. You better have something to show me, otherwise you're gonna be seeing whether the boson condensers can condense lieutenants, too. Wordlessly, you open your jacket on one side, showing your holstered submachine gun. Yeah, that'll do it. Can't tell now you got your hands on that one, Lieutenant? It was not easy. I'd rather not. Well, deal's the deal. Guess you were serious after all. Come with me. The chief lays down the tool she'd been holding and wipes sweat from her brow with the back of her gloved hand before heading further down the gangway. You're so deep into the engine room by the time she stops that it's almost impossible to make out the figure of Dalton in the distance. Not skipping a beat, the chief motions to a terminal next to a small door. Looking to get around one of these, right? You glance at the terminal the chief gestured to and nod. Yeah, I mean, it looks the same at least. They're all the same. It's a combination digital physical security unit JUCF used to manufacture loads of these back in the day. I've produced them though, so when someone came up with a better system, there were huge amounts left over. Didn't make sense to waste them, so the JUCF's been using them in low security facilities or on ships where they're not expecting any problems. Right, so how do I get past it? Well, first, the chief lays her hands on the edges of the device, her thumbs resting on the screen whilst she grips the sides with her fingers. She then yanks it with tremendous force, pulling the entire screen and a portion of the terminal's casing away from the main unit, leaving it attached to the rest of the machine's innards by a long ribbon cable. Okay, that's the first thing you gotta do. Now get over here. You move closer, observing the mass of electronics contained within the exposed interior of the terminal. Oh, it's a minigame. These things work by redirecting power to the door whenever it scans the right clearance on a keycard. The power is transferred through these nodes. If you rotate them, though, you can get the power where you want it to go. Give it a shot. Okay. So this has got to rotate, and then this rotates, and this rotates, and then... no, that... Okay, so that has to go there, that has to go there, that has to go there. This can go up then. Then this turns us back around. This can go this way. You go here, and there we go. After some trial and error, you rotate a final component and watch the door beside you slide open. Not bad, Lieutenant.
Once you're done, all you need to do is reset the nodes and clip the lid back on. That'll do it for you?
Yeah, thanks, Chief. That should be everything I need.
Alright then, I've gotta get back to it.
Guess I gotta take a look at Dr. Rosarium now, huh?
Be careful, Lieutenants.
You're doing a good thing, but don't get yourself killed. Well, I'm armed now, so... You got it. You got it, Chief. We'll talk to Dalton before we go. Just kind of get him up to speed with what's going on. As you approach the cadet, he remains totally unaware of your presence, despite your steps echoing out into the vast expanse of the room. Instead, his focus is fixed on some calibration or another, as he constantly adjusts controls underneath a series of digital gauges. You're unable to tell if he's making progress, as the impact his actions are having is completely indiscernible to you. Hey there, cadet.
What?
What? Dalton, hey, take it easy, it's just me. No, I don't think I gave the Chief the weapon, right? Right? Because honestly, she doesn't want to be tied back to this if something goes wrong. And if she has the weapon, that ties her back to this. She just wanted to see that, like, I was armed and I was, like, serious with my plans. And I had, like, some means to enforce my will once we get all the info we need. Dalton, hey, take it easy, it's just me. Oh, right, hello, sir, I didn't see there I was...
Cadet, what's going on with those condensers?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm just clearing the ejectors of Eddie.
And you, Lieutenant, what are you doing bothering Cadet Grange when he's in the middle of something?
Sorry, Chief, I want to check how...
You can check later. Right now we're trying to get these engines running, and I'm getting enough grief from Captain Lord without you delaying things. Now get out of here and get on with whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. We got a job to do here, so stay out of our way.
Understood, Chief. With that, the Chief strides away from you, leaving you with Dalton, who has already returned to the wall of controls and readouts. I guess I should leave Dalton alone. I didn't think the Chief would be impressed if I bother him anymore. I've got enough to take care of anyway. Yeah, so if like... Yeah, like, I've got my item right here. Okay. Alright, I would like to look at the computers. You quickly glance around the engineering department as you approach the central computer. It didn't look like anyone had followed you, which meant you were free to spend some time investigating. My card won't have the authority to get me in here, but maybe. You lay your hands on the sides of the terminal just like the Chief had shown you, and prepare to pull at the casing. Ugh! Jumping back from the terminal and looking around, you still don't see anyone in the engineering department with you. But then, what had that noise been? Could have been one of the machines, I guess. Probably best if I don't try hacking this thing right here where people can see me. Is there another way in though? You run your hands back through your hair as you consider your options. That's mine. Oh, Cassie's maybe? Hang on. You reach into your jacket pocket and feel the hard, thin edge of a keycard. You almost yell out when Vanessa lays her hand on Cassie's hip, but you stop when you see her withdraw a keycard from Cassie's skirt pocket. Holding it between her thumb and forefinger with a flourish, she waves it at you as she stands up and walks back over to you. The central computer can only be accessed by the captain or members of operations. Good luck getting in there without this. Vanessa casually tosses you the card, which you grab out of the air. Okay. You turn the card over in your hand a few times before pocketing it. Ah, thanks, Vanessa. Now in the small room that contains the interface for the central computer, you lay your hands on the keyboard, wondering what course of action should be. One thing the system's good for is logging everything that happens on board the ship. I wonder if it'll have any records on who went into the sickbay before me. That seems like a pretty easy way to find out who the killer is. Now that I think about it, I should be able to see them enter and leave. If I can find that out, it should make who killed the doctor pretty cut and dry. Let's see. You raise your hands above the keyboard, poised to start typing. You swallow nervously and bite your lip, staring at the keyboard and all the various commands. Although you'd use the surface-level functions of your terminal and datapad, you didn't use computers that often, and much of how they worked was a mystery to you. You'd never been too enthusiastic at getting to grips with them, rationalized that people were your problem, not data. With a sigh, you begin to enter commands, stopping every few keystrokes to delete a mistyped character or to pause and remember the correct format of a particular instruction. Oh, and by the way, for anyone watching who've just forgotten the premise, this is sort of like an 80s style sci-fi type thing, so like that's why, you know, the computers aren't like ubiquitous, right? But it's like the mysterious thing that the ship has, right? Because it's sort of doing like 80s sci-fi aesthetic, which was obviously, or even 70s, I guess. That kind of like early Star Trek, Star Wars type of aesthetic, which would have been before the ubiquity of computers, and therefore was not really included as a thing in a lot of sci-fi at that point. It takes you much longer than you'd like, but eventually you manage to pull up a long list of every time a crew member entered or exited a room. As you slowly work your way through the more recent records, you finally arrive at April 23rd, 2130, the time when you'd gone to visit Cassie. Below that was no information, sickbay 2129. How can there be no information? There's a log right there! You begin scrolling back through the records, hoping that you can figure out who it actually was by checking the other crew members' activity. You couldn't rule out that somehow the data had been corrupted, or it was possible that Vanessa had made a dummy profile somehow. As you keep scrolling through the huge number of crew movements, you notice another instance of no information appearing. No information. Crew quarters 5, 2102. That's Cassie's cabin. With a new fervor, you begin scrolling faster and faster, spotting more entries for this mysterious individual. No information, Central Computer 2021. No information, Engine Room 1933. No information, Mess Hall 1910. No information, Hangar 1850. That was just after Hansen and I crashed into the ship. When that machine crashed into the hangar too. You continue working your way down the list, but as you can see, no further entries belong to anyone other than the crew. Eventually you stop, simply staring at the screen as you try to process what you've read. Without a word, you turn around, stepping out into the engineering department. Okay, so the alien pretty quickly worked out how to open doors. And it's been lurking around the ship. It might be showing no information, but those logs must have been triggered by someone. Either Vanessa's done something for a crew member or given their first appearance. You paused deep in thought about what this could mean. I've got to hurry and confront Vanessa soon. I can't let this go on much longer. Okay. Glad we checked that. Alright. In we go. You walk up to the terminal next to the surgery wing's entrance and place your hands on either side of its plastic casing. Everything I had to do to convince the chief to show me how to do this. Better be worth it. With a swift tug, you yank the top of the device's casing away, ending up with a screen still attached to the bulk of the unit by a long ribbon cable in your hands. Right. She said that all I need to do was to rotate these nodes to adjust the flow of power to unlock the door. Shouldn't be too hard. Apparently. Okay, let's see. So this has to go like this. This could go either way. On this end, this has to go this way, which means this has to go this way, which means this has to go this way. So that has to go there. Huh. That has to go there. This has to go this way. You have to turn this down, then you. There, that way, and there we go. Easy. After rotating one final component, you hear a click, and the door into the surgery wing slides open. Finally. You shiver as you balance the detached screen on top of the portion of the terminal still attached to the wall. You realize that with the surgery wing door open, freezing cold air is flooding through the doorway and dropping the temperature of the main sickbay. I guess it must have reduced the temperature in there to preserve his body. You dwell on this thought, staring at the doorway until the chill becomes too much and you feel the need to get moving again. As you take a deep breath, steeling yourself for what you'll see in there, the cold air stings the back of your throat. With a fresh chill running down your spine, you step into the room. This was your first time entering this surgery wing. Any surgery wing, in fact. Although you'd been able to see into this one on the occasions you'd been inside the sickbay and the glass hadn't been frosted, the close proximity to the surgical assistants made them much more intimidating. A series of long, thin mechanical appendages were suspended from a collection of disc-like objects which themselves were attached to the room's ceiling by various supports, cables, and tubing. The room's temperature was so low you could see your own breath, which turned to condensation on certain parts of the machines, glinting with caught light as you moved around them. Directly underneath all of this was the body of Dr. Cypher Rosarium. You shudder as you approached the corpse. Although you'd encountered the bodies of the crew and the O'Brien, those weren't people that you'd interacted with, spoken with, people you'd known. Laying here on the table, the lack of vital essence in the doctor was tangible. As sedate as he'd been while he was alive, seeing him like this made your stomach turn. Hang on a second. Brushing a few errant hairs out of the way of the doctor's ocular replacement, you peer into the lens that served as a substitute for his eye. Oh, might it record? Seeing no sign of power, you move over to the doctor's arm. After some hesitation, you pick it up, and it bends easily at the elbow and wrist joints. You try moving the fingers, and they too yield with minimal effort on your part. No resistance. Doesn't look like there's any power running to it. You check the arm one more time and move back to inspect the mechanical eye. As you'd expected, you're not able to find a switch or power toggle either. What you do notice is singeing along the eyes where the device meets the doctor's skin, with the lens of the eye surrounded by a ring of black. From what you knew of prosthetics like these, they were usually powered by industrial-grade power cells. The types of cells used by the JCF were more than powerful enough to keep something like the doctor's limb running for multiple voyages. It'd be unusual for it to need replacing mid-mission, especially considering the importance of the crew member. These shouldn't have shut down. The only explanation you could think of was that they'd been damaged and knocked offline, but after another inspection, you don't see any signs of injury or physical trauma. The cybernetics themselves show no obvious signs of damage either, with the exception of the slight charring around the lens of the eye. With these scorch marks and no damage to the outside of the prosthetics, the only thing that could have done this would be a huge electric shock. The same thing that happened to the bridge crew on the O'Brien. I haven't seen anything to suggest an issue with the sickbay's electrical systems, no exposed wiring or broken machinery, so it's not like he could have done this on accident. Which means this must have been done by an electroshock weapon. I'm the only crew member who gets issued a stun gun. It doesn't seem like the ensigns took one either. They're only using standard firearms. You stay in place looking at the cold, lifeless form of the doctor. Your breath condensing in front of you, and dissipating in an uneasy rhythm. I've got what I need here. You head out the doorway, only seeing the briefest of glances of the doctor as you turn to the terminal and begin resetting the components. As the door slides shut, you clip the screen back into place and move away. What you'd found had left you with more questions than you'd gone in with, but if you were right and the doctor had been killed by electrocution, there's no way Cassie could have done it. You shiver as you consider what might have happened, the cold air that you'd released still lowering the temperature of the sickbay to an uncomfortable level. There's nothing else for me in here anymore. I should get moving. As you step into the elevator, you blow on your hands and rub them together to try to get some feeling back after having spent so long in the cold of the surgery wing. It takes your entire journey back to the central hub for the feeling in your fingers to return, and even that is tinged with an unpleasant prickling sensation. Lieutenant? Ugh! Damn it, Rumney! What the hell are you doing there with that gun?
Oh, this? You know, just hanging around, making sure everything's secure. Without you, spent quite a while in the sick bay there. You feeling sick or something? Decided to self-medicate?
You brushed past Haru and walked into the central hub, trailed by the ensign. No, like I keep telling you, I'm actually doing my job, investigating what's going on, trying to find out what's happened.
Yeah, guess that's what you've been saying. So you actually found anything yet?
You pause at the question. Well,
hey, don't sweat it if you haven't. Just nice to see you keeping yourself occupied. Thanks. Well, if you find something, let us know. You get how important it is that we all know what's going on.
They're definitely getting suspicious. I need to get this over with before they try to get in my way. Okay. So we know about the computer. We know about the doctor. We need to try. If we could get into his datapad. The password. Hopefully it's something easy to figure out. Take a look around the sickbay and see if I can find any clues. Okay. Good, I'm going back down to the sickbay. Maybe now that I know I'm looking for clues for this, I can like look in the desk. Maybe he wrote his password down somewhere? I should take another look through these documents. We go over to the doctor's desk again and start looking through the files on the table. From what you can tell, a lot of it is administrative records of medication orders, historic treatment reports, nothing that seems like it could help you log into the datapad. With the exception of a few scribbled amendments on some of the pages, everything is printed out, making it unlikely you'll find a note of his password anywhere. You move on to the drawers. Aside from some loose electrical plugs and wires, the top one is empty. Looking at the drawer that you took the datapad out of, you see the sticky note that you peeled off it earlier. If his password is going to be anywhere, it'd be here. Device asks me to press any key to continue. Ask Cathay's location of any key not visible on keyboard. Device asks me to press any key to continue. Ask Cathay's location of any key not visible on keyboard. Oh, I see. Okay. Gotcha. It's a misunderstanding. It says, press any key to continue. And she's asking the hip youngster, the young Cathays, of like, hey, Cathays, it says I'm supposed to press the any key. There's no key labeled any on here. The doctor cannot be serious. You lay the datapad on the table and run your hands back through your hair, letting out one long, continuous groan of frustration. The device was probably your best hope of proving that Cassie and Captain Bartimeus were genuinely unwell when the blackout had happened, but without the password, you had no chance of accessing that information. Can't let this stop me. I've got to figure out that password. Okay, so if it's not here... I could look here. You pick up a few scattered boxes of medication, place them on the counter. You view them, still sealed. Yeah. Nothing. Still just the shakes. Where else could his password be? I mean, like his quarters is what I'm thinking. I already tried that, but maybe they're going to be more open to us checking around there? Back so soon, Lieutenant?
Had we told you that we had this all under control?
Yeah, you did.
So what, do you miss us? Or is it something you're after?
You gonna tell me you want to talk about something? Well... Nah, I mean, none of those help us. You know what? Don't worry about it. Hey, well, it's been a slice. Catch you later, Craft. Our Lieutenant, don't let us catch you slacking off. Yeah. It's like... I don't think his quarters are here, right? I haven't looked in my quarters. Maybe I can access... I don't know. My current uniform is clean on today. I don't need a new one. What about my computer? Unlike Cassie's turn, my mind's actually in a condition where I can use it if I need to. Hope she's doing alright. I wish I could... Wait a second. You sit down in front of the console and navigate to the electronic mail function. Ah, email. I hadn't even considered that. Opening up a new message, you begin to type. It's not a long message, but you let Cassie know that you're thinking of her and reassure her that everything will be alright. If you get a response, you think maybe you could plan something together, find out her side of the story. Once complete, you send the message and step away from the terminal. You have to check about later because... Oh! Rushing back to the interface, you see a message waiting for you on the screen. You waste no time in opening it. Where you'd hoped to see a response from Cassie, instead all you saw was an automated notification that her access had been restricted alongside a length of text advising you to contact operations if you felt this was an error. You stand back to stop yourself from striking the machine in frustration. Don't worry, Cassie. It's not going to be this way for long. Okay. So where? So wasn't anything? A note of his was the only thing close to clue and wasn't exactly helpful. Maybe it's. Maybe he literally made his password any key. Guess that wasn't it. Any key, no space. What kind of password they asked would he use? Any key. Maybe someone who's served with him longer would know? Not that either. Could be here all day trying to guess this password. My best bet might be asking someone else. At least they could give me a fresh perspective on it. I don't know, maybe the chief would be able to help me on this one. Hey, Chief! The Chief's currently working on some part of the engine. It looks pretty intense. I've got what I need from her, maybe. Oh, maybe Dylan. Dylan, perhaps. Yo, Dylan! Hey, Lieutenant. What's going on? It's going alright, Dylan. How about you? See anything that I should know about? Nothing much. Space, more space. And if the space starts looking weird, I'll definitely give you a shout out, though. Thank you for your vigilance. No sweats. About you got any hot evidence that'll blow the case wide open, Detective? Well, actually, you fished the doctor's datapad out of your jacket pocket and handed it over to the gunner. This was Dr. Rosarion's. I hoped to find something on it, but I've not been able to get into it because he's got a password. Do you know how to get around that? Password, huh? Did he, like, leave it written down somewhere or anything? Leave himself any hints? Not that I've been able to find. Although, you reach into your jacket pocket and pull out the notes that you'd found in the same drawer as the datapad and pass it over. Dude, really? Seems that way. Huh. Actually, give me a second. Sure. Dylan passes the note back to you, and you scrunch it up in your pocket, watching as he starts typing what he thinks might be the potential passwords. Within 10 seconds, as relaxed as ever, he passes back to you. His screen now showing you full access to the doctor's data. What was it? Password. What? Yeah, for real. Figured a guy who'd look for the any key would follow computer's instructions to the letter. You ever notice how the login screen said enter password? Oh my. You shove the datapad back into your pocket and begin massaging your temples. You're welcome, by the way. Yeah, sorry. Thanks. This crew, I swear. Hey, I hear there. Anything else I can do for you? Any other clues need cracking? Not right now. Well, you know where to find me. Thanks, Dylan. Okay. Let's take a look then. So this is similar to my own tasks. Yeah, the doctor's task looks like he's sorted by patient. He's even put timestamps on everything. That's pretty handy. Ah, here's Cassie. She was given sedatives at 21:22. I came by to see her at roughly 21:30. There's no way she could have attacked him just after being given sedatives, let alone kill him. This would be great at proving her innocence. I'd like to see Vanessa argue against this. I wonder if I can find something for the captain on here, too. The doctor would have visited her shortly after the blackout, so there must be something. Hanson... Bartimeus. Okay. And right here, provide a treatment for rehydrate with glucose electrolyte mix. Okay. This looks like it contains the medical records of everyone on board the Gun-Dog. If I go any further, I'll be looking at some really sensitive material, but there could be something in here that helps me. I need to make sure I only look at what I need to. Let's look at Cassie, see if there's anything that could be hinted, like what the underlying cause for condition. Alright, Cassandra Quinn, 0101-189, Europa Colony 1. Alright, patient delivered to sickbay unconscious, sudden onset migraines and loss of consciousness. Current scans remain inconclusive indications of neurological condition will require escalation to the Colony Medical Center if scan set 3 provides no avenue for effective treatment. Gastric disease, ongoing treatment, standard meals to be substituted with NutriShake powder. Interesting. What about the captain? That's Cathais, that's not the captain. Okay, Bartolomew's right. Here we go. Unresponsive due to alcohol-induced Visagia. The captain's not going to like this coming out, but it shows she was in no condition to be doing much of anything when the blackout happened. That information should be helpful in proving that she didn't have anything to do with that. Definitely shows she wasn't just ignoring her duties. Not knowingly, at least. That gives you something to show that both Cassie and the captain were genuinely out of action when the power went off. This should be all I need from his records. Okay. Has refused antidepressant medications, chronic hypertension. I wonder what they have on me. That's not me. Am I anywhere? I am curious, though. Fracture, PTSD, recurring complaints regarding low impact conditions, no positive diagnosis states, potential hypochondria. Yeah, that makes sense for her. What about Haru? Investigated for enhanced sensory potential following 3 consecutive wins in youth frame racing championships. Results inconclusive, further assessment required. Okay, well, whatever. With this, I can show that the captain was in no state to be doing anything like sabotage around the time of the blackouts. That note about the sedatives being administered also pretty much rules Cassie out, or Cassie, as the doctor's killer. Thanks for being so thorough, Dr. Rosario. I'm sorry I was able to get to you sooner. Okay. So we got a decent bit of evidence. Do we talk to the ensigns now? Or maybe let's start with Dylan. Hey Dylan. What's going on? Lieutenant, need my ace sacking skills again? Not right now. I'm just here to check up on you though. Have you seen anything or anyone suspicious on board recently? Dylan gestures from his screens to the general direction of the hangar. I mean, aside from that, has there been anything that's caught your attention? Anything at all? Sorry, Lieutenant, you know me. That little meeting we just had on the bridge, I've been sat in here doing sweet FA since we launched, I guess. Alright. Well, if you see anything, let you know. I got it, Lieutenant. Okay. Hey, Lieutenant, going somewhere? You're going quietly as Hansen walks up beside you. You hadn't been aware that he'd been following you. You hadn't even noticed him enter the Forside thoroughfare with you. How long had he been there? What is it, Cruz? I spoke with you just a few minutes ago. You want to give me another spiel about how you're keeping an eye on things? I know, trust me. But I got work to do, so... Yeah, about that. Guess we were being too subtle for you. Captain asked us to make sure you weren't doing anything suspicious, and I'm gonna be honest. You've been nothing but suspicious since you started roaming around the ship like a lost cadet. I'm gonna take you up to have a word with the captain about your conduct. Get real, Hansen. I'm busy. Not asking, Lieutenant. Bridge, move. Raise your arms slowly and turn around, heading towards the central hub's elevators. Every so often, Hansen thrusts the gun into your back if he feels you're not moving fast enough, but you maintain the same steady pace. As the two of you board the elevator together, you resign yourself to what's happening. You knew you'd have to confront Vanessa eventually, but hope that it'd be on your own terms. You clear your mind of possibilities. This was the moment you'd been preparing for. This was it. The journey up to the bridge is a tense one, and the normally spacious interior of the elevator feels cramped as Hansen keeps his gun pointed at you, a grin on his face. As soon as you arrive, you're shoved out, sending you stumbling towards Vanessa. Hansen Cruz entering the bridge, Captain. That's someone I thought you'd need to talk to.
Oh, Lieutenant Kraft? This is a disappointment. As much as I wanted to trust you, I had to ask the ensigns to make sure you weren't doing anything you shouldn't. But here you are. After we'd gotten so close, too. So, Ensign Cruz, what has our wayward lieutenant been up to?
You know him, stuff around places he shouldn't be, sniffing, asking a few too many questions, bothering people who shouldn't be bothered. Getting a little bit carried away for someone who should just be on patrol.
What have you been up to, Lieutenant?
You know if you don't play this right, you won't have another opportunity, so you take the chance presented to you. I've been doing exactly what you told me to, Captain. I've been trying to figure out how Quinn and Bartomeu's were sending communications without records being made. And you were right! They have had someone else helping them.
Who?
Well, Captain, I don't know for certain, but I know how to find out.
What do you mean?
Trust me, Captain. Get the whole crew up to the bridge, and I'll be able to reveal exactly what's been going on.
Cruz?
Go for it, Captain. If Lieutenant thinks they're being clever, I'm right here. Alright, it's gonna be fun to find out what's happening. Vanessa seats herself in the captain's chair once again and presses down on a button on one of the armrests.
Attention all hands, I repeat, attention all hands. This is Captain Vanessa Lord. All members of the crew, with the exception of Ensign Rumney, who will remain on guard duty, are to assemble on the bridge.
That's good. That means we are not outgunned anymore.
I repeat.
Captain Lord runs through the announcement a few more times, and once finished, lifts her finger from the button, leaning back in the chair and crossing one leg over the other.
There you go, Lieutenant. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got in store.
Engineer could soul all of them? Well, and considering there are guns in play, though, like, I can understand not wanting to take that risk. It doesn't take long for Dylan to arrive, followed by the Chief and then Dalton. Wary of what this announcement might mean, considering how things have gone previously, none of the three say anything, instead just finding a spot to stand and keeping to themselves. With everyone here except Haru, Hansen takes his place beside the captain's seat, his gun still trained on you.
So then, Lieutenant Kraft, I believe you had something important you need to tell me that had to wait until the whole crew was present?
You coughed nervously. All eyes were on you. That's right, ma'am. You move across the bridge to a position where you're able to address everyone. The crew stare at you with expressions ranging from terrified to quizzical. As Captain Lord instructed, I've been investigating what's been happening on this ship. I've managed to find some significant evidence that shows exactly what that is. You pause for a moment. It's clear that everyone is tense with anticipation. And that is, you swallow nervously. There's no going back now. Vanessa Lord is wrong about everything that's happened and is a mutineer. Captain Bartomeu and Commander Quinn are innocent.
Cruz, detain him immediately.
Alright, Lieutenant Shozo, we're where? Wait, I can prove it. Go along with Lord and you'll be charged as a traitor.
Don't listen to him. Get rid of Lieutenant Kraft now.
Despite Vanessa's instructions, the ensign pauses for a moment. The other three members of the crew look from one another, then towards Vanessa. You can see the seeds of doubt beginning to sprout amongst them. Trust me, you're all going to want to hear this.
Cruz, I gave you an order, so...
Hang on there a second, Captain. I kind of want to hear the lieutenant out on this one.
Cruz, get him off my bridge immediately, or I'll...
Be exposed as a liar?
This won't stand. I'll have all of you.
What's wrong, Captain? Worried I might be right? If I'm wrong, just lock me up like Cassie and the Captain.
I'll do more than that. I'm having you thrown out of the airlock right now. Hansen!
As Hansen begins to move towards you, you know you'll need to do something big to get him to hear you out. Hansen, if I can't convince everyone here, I'm right. Do what you want. Do what Lord wants. But do you want to bet your life on her without hearing what I have to say? Sorry, Captain. Hanson shrugs as he lowers his gun. Gotta admit, the lieutenant's got me pretty curious.
Fine. I'll give you a chance, Lieutenant. Since I'm the captain, it's my duty to listen to the crew's wishes. Let's hear what kind of nonsense you come up with. But make it quick, unless you can convince everyone here, I'll escort you to the airlock myself.
You do your best to slow your breathing and stand up straight. You hadn't realized it, but as Hanson had approached you, your instincts had taken over and you'd slowly been shifting backwards. Thank you, Captain. You move forwards again, positioning yourself equally between the crew, Vanessa and Hanson.
Oh, don't mention it. I'm dying to find out how your murderer of a girlfriend is innocent despite being in the perfect position to be behind everything. So let's hear it then. Your explanation. Maybe you could tell us how she couldn't have killed the doctor despite being the only person down there.
Okay. All eyes are on you as Vanessa's accusations hangs in the air. From this point on, you'll need to be able to provide a counter-argument for everything she says to convince the crew that you're right. If you can't, or if you say something that she twists back on you or proves incorrect, then you risk losing their support. Your life is in their hands.
What is it, Lieutenant? Had you assumed we wouldn't be examining your ridiculous theory this closely? Or do you think she killed him too?
There's no way Cassie would have killed the doctor. I know her. She never hurt anyone. You snap back. That's not a really strong argument.
Is that the best you've got? Cruz, take him away to the...
Wait, that's not my reason. Let me answer first.
If you want us to listen, then stop acting like such an idiot. Come on then, Lieutenant Craft, enlighten us about how you're so certain that Quinn didn't kill Dr. Rosarium.
Because of the condition she was in, right? Well, it's either that or she isn't physically capable. I'm assuming condition she was in because she was subdued, right? She was sedated. Isn't physically capable to me is more sounds like more of an argument like she was too weak to kill the guy. It's the condition she was in. Take a look at this. Reach into your jacket pocket and pull out the doctor's datapad.
Your datapad?
Not mine, Dr. Rosarium's. You quickly scroll through to the task log and present it to the crew. His notes show right here that he sedated Cassie at 21:22. I entered the sickbay at 21:30. You can check the logs for that. How could she kill someone when she would have been completely unconscious? You told me that Cassie was taken to her quarters afterwards for security. Whoever carried her up there would have been able to see she was knocked out too.
She was completely out of it when Rumney and I took her to the room. You expect us to believe she killed him while in that state, Captain? That's certainly an interesting thought, Lieutenant. I can see why you'd think that. But you've overlooked something obvious.
You grit your teeth. You knew this wasn't going to be easy. Especially when you were going up against a weasel like Vanessa.
There's still 8 whole minutes between Kun being sedated and you arriving.
Yeah? So?
Don't you think she could have killed the doctor before the sedatives took effect?
Not without how quickly those drugs work. Cassie wouldn't have been awake for long.
It only takes a few seconds to kill someone, Lieutenant. 8 minutes is more than enough time.
She couldn't have killed the doctor before the sedatives took effect. Cassie couldn't have killed the doctor because it'd be too risky. She wasn't injured. The cause of death. I wish I could review my evidence. What was the cause of death? Oh, electrocution. That's our thing, right? She wouldn't have had access to a stun gun. Whether she had 8 minutes or 8 seconds, it doesn't matter. I know for a fact she couldn't have killed him.
Lieutenant, please don't embarrass yourself. If you can't make a decent argument, don't just grasp at straws like this.
She couldn't have killed him because he was killed by an electroshock weapon.
What? How could you know that?
I investigated the doctor's body. There's no sign of any physical trauma like bruising or broken bones, and since his prosthetics are battery-powered, they should still be active. But they're not. Considering they've been knocked offline, and that I found burns where the metal meets his body, the only explanation is that he was electrocuted. No one mentioned finding one in No one mentioned finding an electroshock weapon in there, and I couldn't find one either. So unless you think she was sedated, drew a hidden weapon, shot the doctor, and then hit it again, it couldn't have been her.
Couldn't it? There's still 8 whole minutes, Lieutenant. And what if I go down there and find a weapon? Huh? What then?
What, are you going to plant one?
Why, Lieutenant, that's an awfully low accusation to be making against your captain. I could send a neutral third party like Ensign Cruz here.
You're just me, right, Lieutenant? I don't have to trust you. I can guarantee you're not going to find a weapon.
And how could you possibly know that, Lieutenant?
The doctor would have seen it, of where her card was. Where was her card? I think the doctor seeing it is relevant. Well, hold on. If she was doing, like, medical stuff, right? Presumably she would have been checked, right? Where was her card? I completely forget where we found it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Vanessa had her card, right? Since the blackout, Cassie hasn't had her card. So she would have had no means of accessing any rooms that had weapons in them. She couldn't have had an electroshock weapon at all.
That's what you're claiming, Lieutenant, but if Cruz here goes down and finds one,
then I know it'd be planted.
Back to that point, Lieutenant.
Because of this.
Because of your keycard?
Not my keycard. Cassie's keycard. Which I've had since the blackout after you gave it to me. She wouldn't have been able to get anywhere except in and out of the sickbay without using her card. So how do you think she'd have been able to get into the armory?
But...
That's not at all.
What?
Until you gave access to the ensigns, I was the only one on the ship who had the authority on my keycard to get to the weapons lockers.
She could have...
And any weapons that are taken are logged. You should know that, Captain. If we check the records, are we going to find anyone aside from me taking an electroshock weapon? Hey, wait a minute, Kraft. I saw Quinn in the sickbay. She's the one that took you out. What about that, huh?
A good question, Ensign Cruz. What about that, Lieutenant?
Whoever you saw, it wasn't Cassie. Yeah, I guess you would say that, huh? Think about it. You said that my attacker was dressed all in black. The privacy effect may have been up, but it doesn't affect stuff like color. If we went in there now and stood on different sides, we'd both see our uniform colors as they are. Chief, what was Cassie wearing when you took her to her quarters? Just her standard uniform. So what now, Lord? Are you going to tell me that Cassie's got sedated, killed the doctor, changed her clothes, hid some mystery weapon we can't find, attacked me, and then changed back again? All before the sedatives kicked in. I guess it couldn't have been Quinn.
Well, Lieutenant, it seems like you've put forward a very compelling argument as to why Lieutenant Commander Quinn may not be the doctor's killer. But I think I'll let the inquiry back on Europe Colony make the final decision on that one. Oh, don't give me that look, Cathays. Even if there is the slight chance that she's innocent of killing the doctor, we can't forget that she abandoned the ship in its time of need. You were there after all, Lieutenant, when she took a little nap to avoid helping us solve the problem she no doubt caused. The same goes for Bartimeus, in case you forgot.
That's nonsense, and you know it.
Isn't? Don't tell me you think you've got something to say about that as well.
Yeah, I can tell that they had nothing to do with it. Guessing Captain weren't responsible for the sabotage because they'd have died too. They were both unwell. They're out of commission. You don't know what the actual sabotage was, but you're confident that the captain and Cassie were responsible because they didn't help out?
I suppose if you want a simpler way to put it, I'd call them traitors, though through inactivity. They made a choice, and that was to let us die.
But they didn't have a choice. Look at this! You navigate through the menus on the doctor's datapad that you still hold in your hand, working your way to Cassie's medical logs. All these entries for Cassie. All the scans and treatments. Dr. Rosarium's notes about her condition when I brought her down. Then there's the captain. You navigate through to Captain Bartolomew's entry that shows the doctor treating her shortly after you'd restored power. They weren't making a choice, they were incapacitated. You think the doctor would have done all of this if it wasn't necessary, Lord? Are you trying to make us think he was incompetent?
I'm doing no such thing, but he may have made mistakes.
That's right. You don't have anything against either of them. This whole thing's just been a big sham so that you can carry out your vendetta. You'd sell us out if it meant you could get ahead.
It's not it. It's not it. It's,
As Vanessa stammers her defense, you can feel the atmosphere in the room change. Where you'd felt like you'd been on trial before, you could now sense the hostility shift from you towards Vanessa. All you needed to do now was convince the crew to move against her and... Hey, but I've got a question for you, Kraft. Sure, Captain Lord here might not have all the answers, but it seems to me that at least she's moving in the right direction to figure out who did all this. If it wasn't Quinn Bartolomew's, who was it, huh? I don't see who else it could be. You jump into their defense like this seems a little bit... You get what I'm saying, don't you?
That's right, Lieutenant. You've been willing to poke holes in what I've said, but I don't see you offering any other options to consider. This ship didn't have a full system failure on its own, you know. And I'm sure Dr. Rosarium didn't just decide to give himself a lethal dosage of electricity.
You pause as everyone's attention turns back towards you. Vanessa's right. If you couldn't show the crew it was someone else, then the captain and Cassie would remain the only suspects. Well, it was...
What's that, Lieutenant? Whenever you're ready.
It was... The real culprit is... someone else entirely. Perhaps not even human. It was... You run through the whole crew in your mind. Realistically, you couldn't see it being a single one of them. No one had the means or the motivation. Then there was what you discovered during your investigation. I don't think it was anyone from the crew. I think it was someone else.
That's great, Lieutenant Kraft. How enlightening. Isn't that convenient? Wasn't anyone from the crew? It was some totally mysterious person who just happened to be on the ship and just happened to want to kill us all that we didn't know about? It all makes sense.
Shut up and listen to me. Instead of trying to blame it on people you have a grudge against, maybe you should have actually thought it through. Was anyone on the ship actually in a position to take advantage of anything when the blackout happened, or were we all taken by surprise? Is there even any sign that the cause of the blackout came from within the ship? Not that I've seen. Plus, the same thing happened to the O'Brien. Even their doctor was killed. Are you telling me that a member of our crew somehow did all that to two separate ships? The only thing both ships have in common is that machine sat in our hangar right now. Everything that's happened, it all comes back to that craft.
Well, that's quite the theory you've got there, Lieutenant. Even though it relies on a mysterious saboteur we didn't know existed, who we haven't seen on a ship that's only big enough for 11 people. So someone somehow got on board the ship and is doing all this. What reason could they possibly have, hmm? Who is this person that's the cause of all our problems if they're not one of the crew, huh? What exactly do you think they're after?
Well, with everyone looking towards you for an answer, you stall. When you came up here, your plan had simply been to prove that Cassie and the captain were innocent and that she was twisting events to satisfy her own grudges. Now, though, she'd lumbered you with the burden of not just proving them innocent, but proving what had actually happened too. Dang, we're going like Ace Attorney mode, where, yeah, like what you're saying there, Joey. The classic video game system, guilty until proven guilty. Where, like Ace Attorney, it's like, well, you raised a lot of reasonable doubt about your client, but unless you can tell us who actually did it here in court, unless you can turn prosecution on us, then who cares? Or like in Danganronpa, where you're on the trial and you get the game over, and like regardless of what state the trial's at, you're not even slightly under suspicion. Then it's like, and somehow everyone voted for Makoto or Hajime or whoever your protagonist is. Like, yikes. How'd that happen? I wasn't even a suspect in this case. Anyway. You can tell that despite everything you'd brought up, Vanessa still had some sort of plan to worm her way out of this, to keep the focus on Cassie, the captain, even you. Despite everything, this was still her game that you were playing. What is this intruder's motive? And we don't really know the motive. Like, it's the alien, for sure. But we can only speculate as to their motive. And pirates. Pirates seems unlikely, right? They're not commandeering the vessels, and I don't think there's really anything of value on the vessels. They're a spy, they're after Cassie. We don't have any reason to believe that the aliens know of Cassie in particular. So it's gotta be they're a spy, right? And that would explain how they've been so good at evading detection. Whoever it is, this is, I think they're a spy.
Oh, really?
Was Cassie on the other ship that was destroyed? No. That's right. It could be the Solar Federation testing some new technology to steal information from our ships. But now that we've caught them, their whole plan's gone up in smoke. And they're trying to get rid of us.
You know those books you got in your quarters? They're fiction, don't you, Lieutenant? What kind of spy travels all the way to enemy territory only to get themselves taken on board an enemy ship in their state of art machine twice, When it could be much more easily be someone already on the ship like Bartimeus or Quinn. Well, that's what I thought.
Then if they're not a spy, they're what, Lieutenant? They're... I don't know, it could be pirates? Again, we don't have anything to tie them to Cassie specifically, other than that she seems to have a really bad reaction to the ships. They're pirates. They're pirates. Pirates have been getting more common ever since the war ended, due to all the ships and armored frames they've been able to salvage. That machine in the hangar, it's not Terran, it's not Martian, it's definitely not JCF, it's gotta be a pirate craft. That's why it doesn't work properly, why the pilot's not following standard procedure when it comes to surrender. They could have lured us out here with those signals to try to capture whatever ships the JCF sent. But now their plan's gone wrong and they're panicking.
You should take up a job as a writer, Lieutenant. Because all I'm hearing is you making up wild stories. Gathase, does that machine look like it could have been made using scavenged parts?
Not using any parts I've ever seen.
Deez, have you ever received any tactical reports that there are pirates anywhere near this area?
No, near all pirates inside JUCF territory coming from the asteroid belt.
So confident it's pirates, Lieutenant?
Okay, well, you know, maybe they're after Cassie, huh? You take a deep breath as you think about everything you found out so far. You weren't entirely certain, and you knew it was going to sound ridiculous, but it was your best option. Cassie.
What?
Whoever this person is, they're after Cassie.
What the hell are you talking about?
What I'm trying to say is...
No, that's it. I've had enough. You're clearly making this up as you go along. You're spouting out whatever random thought comes into your head and hoping it sounds good enough to convince everyone that your precious Cassie is innocent. And now you're trying to make her look like the victim here? Like this is all some conspiracy against her? Get a grip. I'm not listening to any more of this. Cruz, you know what to do.
Hey, wait! Hanson, don't listen to her. You know I'm right. Chief. Dylan. Dalton, come on. Please, all of you, just hear me out.
Give it up, Kraft. It's over.
Please, all of you. Don't you want to know what's really going on? A tense silence fills the bridge.
Well, there we have it, Lieutenant. It seems like...
Wait! I'd hear the lieutenant out. Ma'am?
Did I ask for your opinion, Cadet?
No, ma'am.
Then stay quiet.
Hey, don't talk to my cadet that way.
Don't you tell your captain what to do, Cathase.
I want to hear what the lieutenant has to say, too. Same here. Seems like they were really getting to something.
All of you shut up right now. This isn't up for discussion. Cruz!
Hey, sorry, Captain. I want to see where Kraft is going with this too.
All of you will. So you think someone's after Quinn, do you, Lieutenant? Why?
Well, Chief. Why would they be after Cassie? I just have a feeling it's so weak. I think she has a connection to them, right? Her headaches seem to occur in relation to their tech. You take a deep breath in. You still weren't totally sure, but with everything you noticed, all the odd happenings that you picked up on, it felt like the only explanation. You still couldn't quite form a full picture of what was going on in your head, but you knew you were close to figuring it out. You knew that what you'd seen was important. There have been things happening that haven't made sense on their own and didn't seem like anything to worry about, but now that we're here, they do. When I reactivated the Gun-Dog's computer, I could hear the same signal that came over the bridge's comms just before the whole ship shut down and Cassie collapsed. The whole thing went haywire. Everyone's crew reports were flashing up on the screen, but the only one that stayed was hers. Then the whole thing shut down. At the time, I thought the computer had been damaged by the sudden loss of power, but now I have to wonder, what if the signal was coming from that machine when it was on the O'Brien? Why would it focus on Cassie's file? She blacked out when she heard that signal too. She was the only crew member who seemed to be affected by it. It's her. Things keep happening to her. After Quinn, huh? I can't explain what you've seen, Lieutenant. The central computer shouldn't display any files on a fresh boot. Any previous session would have been lost when the power went out. So what you're saying, yeah, it does kind of look that way.
This is absurd. None of these things show that it had anything to do with Quinn. She's not special.
She's got a point there, Kraft. Quinn's just the lieutenant commander. What makes someone go to all this effort for something like that when they could try for a captain or admiral? What makes you think she's so important? Well, what makes her special? She was left alive in the attack on the doctor. Yeah, true. Think about how they left her alive. Maybe she's carrying something, like unwittingly. Unwitting carrier of like biological warfare or something? I don't know. Like an alien type situation? Who left her alive? Whoever's on board the ship. When I got to the sickbay, the doctor was already dead. I didn't see anyone else around before I went into the sickbay, so whoever it was must have gone in at least a few minutes before me. If they were planning on killing off the crew, they'd have had more than enough time to kill Cassie. But they didn't. She was left alive. Yeah, didn't kill you either. What if the doc was killed by accident or something? I only survived because Hansen raised the alarm after seeing me get attacked. It's a miracle that blow didn't kill me, and if Hansen hadn't hit the alarm, they'd have had the chance to finish me off. Why attack me and the doc would leave Cassie untouched? They wouldn't have left her alone unless they wanted something. Why are you idiots even entertaining this? This is all so stupid. Now do as I say and... Pipe down, Lord! That's Captain Lord to... There could be a lot of reasons they didn't kill her, Lieutenant. Maybe because she was unconscious or wasn't a witness. You really reckon this all comes down to Quinn? Yes, I do. How can you be so sure?
He can't be sure because it's all made up.
Let him speak, Lord. Don't you think this could all be a big coincidence or something? I don't think that at all, because... it's too many coincidences. They could have destroyed the Gun-Dog. Yeah, their laser was extremely strong. They left us alive way longer than we really should have lasted. Well, the Gun-Dog's still in one piece, right? Yeah, sharp observation there, Lieutenant. Good work. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about that craft or machine or whatever it is in the hangar. It destroyed the O'Brien in seconds like it was nothing. When it came to the Gun-Dog, though, it never fired on the ship. Only our armored frame. Why wouldn't it just destroy the ship then and there? You saw how powerful that weapon was, Cruz. Why didn't it destroy the Gun-Dog? Why did all its systems go dead at the exact moment we fly into our own hangar? Why is the ship still functional when either that thing or something out there could knock it offline with a simple signal? There's all this, and then there's everything that's happened, all pointing to Cassie. Silence once again filled the bridge. Was this it? Did they believe you? Were they on your side, or had you missed something critical? Look, I know this sounds nuts, but after everything I've seen, you're onto something, Lieutenant. Chief, you think so? Gotta say, what you're putting forward, it tracks with everything that's happened, the timeline that we've seen. With that all in mind, seems like Quinn's definitely got herself caught up in something. Of course, if that's what's going on, then they're not gonna stop now, that they're so close. They're gonna try something else. I'm with the Chief on this one. We need to do something, figure out where this killer is. Gonna take a bit to catch Haru up on what's going on, but if there is someone on this ship, they won't get away from us. Everyone, thank you. I know it's a lot to believe, but... How dare... How are you all so stupid? What is this crap? You believe that story, really? How gullible are you? Stow it, Lord. Just admit you're wrong. I'm the only one here who isn't getting swept up in your lies. Cruz, as your captain, I order you to... Sorry, Lord. But I don't think you're going to be captain much longer. How dare you? Hey, that's how it rolls. Why don't you take it easy, and... A quick snatch of high-pitched tones pierces the tension, starting the crew and drawing their attention to one of the bridge's control stations. Haru's voice sounds out from a small speaker, audibly angry and confused. Lord, send crews down now! Romney, were those gunshots? Yeah, some freaks burst out of Quinn's quarters and started shooting. Get crews down here now. What? You'll first react, turning on your heels and sprinting towards the elevators. Where are you going? Get back here! You'd already slammed your hand against the elevator controls before Hanson or Vanessa had even reacted. The doors slide shut and you feel the downward motion of the elevator start. Haru had mentioned Cassie's quarters. You're right. Whoever they were after her. You just realized too late. Damn it! You slam your fist into the wall of the elevator just as the doors slide open. Whoa! The sound of gunshots rattled through the air, answered quickly by another burst of fire. Pressed up against the corridor, or the corner of the entryway into the four-side thoroughfare is Haru, gun drawn. Bullets ricochet past them. As soon as there's a lull, they pivot around the corner, their finger a flurry on the trigger as they fire off a volley of shots. Haru, who is it? Hell if I know! Heard something happening in Quinn's quarters, and the second I open the door, this psycho jumps out and starts blasting. Cassie. You lean around the corner, trying to catch a glimpse of the attacker as Haru takes the opportunity to fire back. Oh! Ooh! Wait! Almost out of sight, slashed against the wall, leading to the crew quarters corridor is an unconscious Cassie. Cassie! Haru, stop firing! You might hit Cassie! Get real, Craft! I'll stop when they do! As the deadly exchange between Haru and the attacker continues, the central hub fills with the stink of gunfire and hot metal. If you let this carry on, it was only a matter of time until Haru accidentally shot Cassie. You need to do something. Now! Hey, what's happening? Hanson yells out as the elevator opens. This psycho's got me outgunned. Give me a hand, would you? Got you covered. As Hanson sprints out of the central hub, you see him raise his machine gun and pivot his finger on the trigger as he slides to a stop in front of the entryway. Hate this! Hanson, no! You tackle Hanson just before he fires towards Cassie. Instead, he squeezes the trigger as he falls, bullet holes peppering the wall and ceiling. Craft, what the hell? Cruz, she's heading into the hangar. Get off me, idiot! Hanson shoves you off him, and the two ensigns charge down the thoroughfare and through the door leading to the hangar. You scramble to your feet and head after them. You barge past the ensigns and leap each set of stairs. As soon as the gravity begins to lessen, you vault a railing and drop down to the bottom. Stop right there! You yell as you burst into the hangar, gun drawn. The woman stands in front of the huge mass of machine and foam. What little you can see of her face is indifferent and unmoving. There's no sign of an expression at all. You can't even tell where she's looking beyond the 3 green lights on the left of her helmet, each one glowing an eerie green, pointing towards you. Stop right there. You've nowhere to go. I'll shoot! You raise your gun, training it squarely on the attacker. You grit your teeth as your demand is met with silence. You glance to her side and see Cassie slumped beside the silent figure. Cassie! Look, just let her go. We'll go easy on you. Uh-oh. Fragments of foam cut through the air around you as the machine's prison is vaporized in an instant. You're thrown back by the impact of its leg on the catwalk, only saving yourself from slamming into the hangar's rear wall by grabbing onto another nearby railing. Wait! Before you can recover, they grab Cassie, slip a mask over her face, and throw her over their shoulder before retreating up the machine's leg. Within seconds, the pair disappears inside a hatch atop the craft that closes as soon as they're through. You spring forward, kicking off the wall behind you, when you feel a sudden rush all around you, drawing you forward. You grab onto the catwalk's railing just in time. The hangar door is opening. No! They're escaping! You brace yourself against the air, whipping past you, doing your best not to get dragged along with it into space. Grant, what the hell's going on? You hear Hanson yell over the rush of oxygen and glance back to see him and Haru hanging on to the hangar's entryway. Get back here! This whole place is depressurizing! They've taken Cassie! We've got to get her out of there! You shout back, the torrent of air continuing to rush out of the hangar, snatching the words from your mouth as soon as you say them. What are you talking about? Get over here! You feel the machine's steps reverberate around you as it stomps its way out of the hangar. Its engines ignite and a searing blast of heat hits your back as it soars away from the Gun-Dog. Give it up, Kraft! She's gone! Get back here! Cassie had been taken. Whatever that machine was, whoever its pilot was, she was with them now, hurtling away from the ship. Hanson and Haru remained clinging onto the doorway, gesturing for you to get out of there. Even if you could convince them to help Cassie, would Vanessa let them go in their armored frames? Maybe she's already ordering Dylan to fire on the craft. It's up to me. I've got to. I must. And it's stupid, but I've got pilot experience. Let's go. I must save her. Can't just let her go. She needs me. I'll have to. I need to save Cassie. I need to save her. It's up to me. If I don't, no one else will. But to save her, I'd have to save her. She needs me. She's counting on me. That's it. I'm going to save Cassie. Let's go. I'm going to save Cassie. You turn and bring your right leg up over the railing. Kraft, don't! Benson lunges out to grab you, but he's a bit too late. You throw yourself into the void of the hangar and are snatched away by the vacuum. You just about manage to grab onto the Juna as you fly past it, your arm nearly wrenched from its socket by the force. Despite the pain, you hang on and pull your way towards the access panel by the cockpit, fighting against the rush of air that continues to buff it against you as you input a series of commands to open the hatch. As soon as it's open, you clamber inside and grab an emergency oxygen mask, sealing it over your face as you activate the armored frame. Hitting the combination of switches and buttons required to start the machine, you feel a dull rumble followed by a swell in vibrations as the systems throughout the cockpit are illuminated one by one. You grip the flight sticks and squeeze, breathing deeply and slowly. You can do this. As you push down on the pedals, the Juno walks forward, and you direct it to grab a machine gun from a nearby rack of weapons before turning to face the open hangar door. You peer at the main monitor, trying to locate the enemy craft amongst the stars, but are distracted as a window opens on the screen to your left and a shrill voice yells at you from the monitor's speakers. You in the Juno! I haven't given anyone permission to launch!
What? Lieutenant Kraft, what are you doing in there? Get back to the bridge. You've got a lot to answer for.
Sorry, Lord. I'm going after Cassie.
You're what? That's it. I knew you were a traitor. This proves it. Abandoning ship with your comrades, is it? The JCF will hunt you down like dogs for this.
You press a single button on the screen, cutting off Vanessa's transmission. You couldn't care less about what she said or how she threatened you. You were done worrying. Everything you did now, you did for Cassie. This is it. This is Lieutenant Chase Kraft. Calic 5. Launching. You slam both flight sticks forward, just as you'd watched Hansen do during his duel against the machine, sending the Juno tearing through space towards where you'd last seen the kidnapper's craft heading. There you are. You force the controls as far forwards as they will go, demanding every last ounce of thrust available from the engines. The cockpit begins to judder around you, but you don't let up. As the gap between your armored frame and the machine closes, it quickly comes within visual range, and you notice it remaining still, almost like it had been suspended in space. In front of it, you see a strange shifting distortion, as though the space ahead of it had been torn open. You're not going anywhere! With a twist of the flight sticks, the Juno banks right, and you bring yourself around in a wide arc, putting up speed until... Yeah! Body slam! Give her back! Your head is still ringing from the impact, and you taste blood in your mouth, but you manage to regain control of your armored frame, raising its machine gun towards the enemy. Now! You're not able to get a shot off before the craft blasts away into space. Gritting your teeth, determined to not let it escape, you thrust the flight sticks forward again, and you're forced back against the seat as the Juno hurtles after the target. You hear the engines begin to whine, and the main monitor is full of warnings and alerts, but you keep the controls where they are, not wanting to give the enemy a moment of reprieve. So you gain on the strange craft, and as soon as you're within range, you squeeze the trigger on the right stick, holding it down to empty the gun's magazine. Each round slams into the enemy as the sustained series of impacts, throwing it into a spin. It's more where that came from, you threaten, beginning the process to reload your gun. With a grim grin, your focus, the targeting reticule, lining up your next volley. Wait. In an instant, the enemy turns, its snout-like protrusion already glowing brightly with the telltale bolts of energy emanating from the light within its weapon. It's all you can do to draw the controls back and slam your feet down on the pedals, trying to halt the Juno before it's caught in the deadly beam. Whoa! Through luck more than skill, you managed to prevent the burst of energy from cleaving your Juno clean in half, but now alarms filled the cockpit, and your warnings cluttered your monitor as you realize the armored frame's left arm has been sheared off. You struggle with the controls as your off-balance machine careens through space, its fine calibrations are thrown off by the loss of a limb. You manage to reorient yourself, only to see the enemy's cannon pulsing with energy as it prepares another devastating shot. No! Damn it! Yeah, Hansen! Surprised you lasted this long, Kraft. Not a bad effort for your first flight. You got hell from the chief for losing that arm, though. Hansen! What are you doing out here? Saving your dumb ass, what does it look like? Why the hell did you chase the thing out here? I told you it's taking Cassie! You're such a sap, Lieutenant. But you got guts. Never thought I'd see the day when you stood up for yourself. You're gonna rescue Quinn, get moving, I'll keep it here. Right. As soon as Hansen disappears from your monitor, his Juno is behind the enemy, grappling it. You waste no time in following him, struggling against the controls. Your ability to maneuver is limited, but you thrust over to the craft, digging your frame's remaining hand into a gap between its armor. The actuators in the Juno's shoulders screech in protest as the enemy struggles against you, but you continue, not willing to stop now. Cassie, yes! I got her. Cassie,
Chase!
You pull Cassie into the Juno's cockpit, closing the hatch behind her. As you float together in the enclosed space, arms wrapped around each other, you savor the moment. If it was possible, you'd never let Cassie go again. But with a sigh, you release her, taking both her hands in yours. Cassie, are you alright?
I think so.
You can tell from the look in her eyes that she's still a bit dazed, but otherwise you can't see anything that worries you. Come on, I'm taking us back to the Gun-Dog. You push off the cockpit ceiling and land in the pilot's seat, bring her down with you. After the two of you are sat down, you strap yourself back in and take a firm grip on the flight sticks. Hold on tight! We'll be there in no time. You gently push forward on the controls, easing the Juno's engines back into life. Cassie wraps her arms around you, nuzzling as far into your neck as she can, given that you're both still wearing emergency masks. You breathe a sigh of relief. The Gun-Dog grows larger on your screen as you slowly fly towards it. The enemy machine has been taken out. Cassie's back with you. Everything's alright again. There might still be things to deal with when you get back to the ship, but at least Cassie is safe beside you. You let out another deep breath, unsure whether you want to laugh or cry. Instead, you relax, loosening your grip on the twin sticks, and gently resting your head on Cassie's. Bring your right hand up to slowly stroke her hair. The armored frame continues its slow flight towards the ship. The only noise in the cockpit is the dull hum of the engine's vibrations, and both of you breathing softly.
Chase.
You sit up slightly and look down at Cassie, who's still burying her face in the crook of your neck. She spoke so softly you weren't even sure if she'd actually said anything until she begins to speak again.
What's going on, Chase? We're getting taken to my quarters and there was this woman, gunshots. Now I'm here. I think she wanted to take me somewhere. I could feel what she wanted. It was going to be somewhere really far away. Far from you. From everyone.
You continue to gently stroke her hair, your fingers working through the strands to run gently down her neck and back.
What happened?
You're silent for a few moments, but eventually take your free arm and bring it around her shoulders, drawing her in tighter. I don't know. I don't know how to find out either. But whatever happens, I'll be here with you. I won't let anyone take you away again. I promise. You can feel a gentle pull on the fabric of your shirt as Cassie balls her hands into fists, clenching material between her fingers and palms.
I love you, Chase.
I love you too. That's the first time you've said that to me. Cassie draws her hands back from behind you and presses her palms against your chest, her face still hidden. You stare down at her, your heart full. As you gaze down on her, she begins to squirm and fidget, once again clasping the material of your shirt in her hands as she balls them into fists. Love you too. With her pressed against you, it's easy to feel Cassie tense up for just a second before her whole body relaxes. It's so obvious that she's relieved that you can almost feel it too. After another brief stretch of silence, she sits up, looking you in the eyes, hers moist with tears.
Chase.
What the hell? Another one? Damn it! Before you can react, this new craft, identical to the one you just tore Cassie from, is upon you, the claws at the end of its leg-like limbs clasping tightly around the Juno's torso. You fight with the controls, causing the armored frame's engines to scream as you push them to their limits, attempting to escape the machine's grip. Hanson! Dalton! Anyone! Help! With alarms blaring from the cockpit speakers and warnings filling your screens, it's almost impossible to make out what's happening. You're just about keeping you and Cassie out of the rift in front of you, but even that is straining the Juno's engines to the point where you know they can't take much more.
Just go, Chase.
What? Cassie, I can't leave you!
It's me they want. I can feel it.
The tears of joy that had filled the corners of her eyes now run down her cheeks, having turned to sadness.
They're not going to stop until they have me. Take a rescue buoy and eject
Let me go! No, I'm not leaving you! More tears flow down her face as she grasps at your chest. You have to! They won't stop! You can't win! Just let me! I said no! You take a hold of Cassie by the shoulders, looking deep into her eyes. You know she's right. You can't win. But you're not giving up now. I told you, no one was going to take you away from me. They're taking you. They're taking me too! You grab Cassie with one arm and slam the flight sticks forward, sending you speeding towards the sheer in space. With a roar, you all plunge into the rift. You don't know why it wants Cassie. You don't know where it's taking her. But you know one thing. She won't be alone. Well done. Chase! Come on, wake up, Chase! That's it, wake up. What? You're alive! You're alive! Huh? How? Where? What? What happened? I thought I'd lost you. Cassie? Darling, thank God. Welcome back to the land of the living, Lieutenant. That's a whole carton of smokes you owe me, Cruz. What? Yeah, whatever. Didn't think the Lieutenant was gonna be this tough. Guess you're full of surprises, huh, Craft? What's going on? Am I dreaming? Is this like some fever dream? Me and Cruz had a bet on whether you were gonna make it after we popped your cockpit hatch and found you slumped over the controls. He figured you use all your luck up. Not me though, Lieutenant. I knew you wouldn't let something like that take you out. You've been showing you've got serious guts recently. That's obviously not what he's asking about. As Cassie and the ensign squabble, you try to marshal your thoughts and memories. Everything feels disconnected, jumbled. Simply thinking feels like trying to find something in a dark room with no gravity. I remember going out to save you. There was this rip in space or something. I went into it and you saved me. That's what happens. You sit up and place your face in your hands, massaging your temples with your thumbs to try to get rid of the feeling that your thoughts might fall out at any moment. I think you mean that I saved you? You're welcome, by the way. I saw you charge head first into one of those weird glowing things. Didn't know what was gonna be in there, but knew you wouldn't survive if I left you to it. It's like a good crewmate. I went in after and dragged you and Quinn back out. Brought you here. You'd do the same for me, right? Reach out and grab the nearby railing, pulling yourself up to your feet. As you do, the sensation of your head being flooded with thoughts and memories intensifies. You steady yourself, but keeping your focus feels like trying to carry a glass full of water that's been filled to the brim without spilling any. Wasn't this... Take it slow, honey. Don't rush. Sure ready to be up and about, Lieutenant? Yeah, I'm fine. You push away from where you were stood, but trip, falling unceremoniously to the catwalk and slamming your forearms and knees onto the walkway. Chase, are you okay? Alright, only so much of this I can watch. Go on, Quinn, I'll grab Craft. Let's get him up to the mess hall. Maybe coffee will sort him out? Right, thanks. Hansen comes over to you and brings your arms up over his shoulders, hoisting you up without much delicacy. As you head towards the hangar's exit, Cassie follows close behind you, her hand resting tenderly on the small of your back. Once you're near the stairs, you move away from Hansen and begin to make your way up towards the four-side thoroughfare, each step becoming easier as you will yourself to walk unsupported. Cassie, what's happening on the ship? With Lord and... Hey Chase, let's talk more walking. We'll fill you in later. Don't worry about that right now, honey. You look around the four-side thoroughfare and see everything looking shockingly normal. You don't know what you were expecting to be out of the ordinary, but seeing the thoroughfare as it had always been, it's the same liminal, peaceful, This, soundtracked by the gentle hum of the ship's systems, made you feel reassured. Maybe it wouldn't be so hard for things to go back to how they were. It takes you longer than usual, but Cassie follows patiently behind you until you reach the mess hall. Alright, take a seat, you two. I'll grab some coffee. You sit down, still woozy, as Hansen orders 2 coffees from the vendmate. Cassie sits beside you, gently rubbing your back as you try to get your head to stop spinning. There you go. Take it easy and drink up. I'm sure Captain Bartimeus has a lot of questions for you. Captain Bartimeus? But what about... there you are, Lieutenant Commander Quinn, Lieutenant Craft. Ma'am! Ma'am! At ease, you two. But, Captain, what are you doing here? What about the ensigns? What about Lord? Lord? Ah, yes, Lieutenant Lord's little dalliance with command. Thanks, Chief Cathays, that's been dealt with. The Chief? Something I can help you with, Lieutenants? Captain Barnaby said that you dealt with Lieutenant Lord? I resent being made to sound like an issue on the daily maintenance log, thank you very much. Lord? You spring to your feet, your head snapping between the 2 ensigns, trying to see who'd make a move first. What are you? Honestly, Lieutenant, don't make this so awkward. I'm here to... Come on now, Lieutenant, let's hear you say it. Apologize. It seems that based on what happened in the Foresight Thoroughfare, your actions out in space, what I was told by the crew, I made a mistake. So I thought I'd apologize. Sorry, Captain, Lieutenant Quinn, everyone. Oh, that's okay. I didn't even realize anything was going on. I've been so zonked on painkillers, I've slept through almost everything. What's been going on? Well done, Lieutenant Lord. That was very big of you. So then, I'm sure we can all agree to put this matter behind us. Put this behind us? That sensation of being lost in a shoal of your own thoughts returns, and you can barely grasp the situation. Was that it? After everything had happened, Vanessa apologizes. The captain agrees to move on? Really? Yeah, Lieutenant Craft, you're not looking very well. Captain, just what is going on? This is also... I think you should calm down, Lieutenant. Whatever happened to you out in space seems to still be having something of an effect. Yeah, this is too good. This is too good. I must be like hallucinating this or something, right? You could probably do with eating something. Now there's an idea. Then we'll sit down for a meal together as a crew. Chief Cathays, gather everyone up, would you? I'm on it, ma'am! Alright then, who's first? A loud noise like the combination of a growl and a gurgle fills the room, causing everyone to look towards Cassie. Well, it has been a while since I ate anything. Any chance of a burger? Of course, Commander. Followed up by your favorite, a pineapple salad. Unless I'm mistaken. Oh wow, I didn't know you knew. That's perfect, Captain, thanks. I never thought you'd see the captain happily begin ordering meals for the crew from the vendmate, but she does just that, listening to Cassie's instructions on her burger preferences. You slowly slide back into your chair, cautiously eyeing the 2 ensigns and Vanessa. There's no way she wasn't planning something. This had to all be... Hey, Lieutenant, good to see ya. Oh, Dylan, hey. Pretty crazy watching you go toe-to-toe with that thing out there. About almost as well as Hansen. No way. I mean, not bad for an amateur, but the Lieutenant's got nothing on me. Lieutenant Craft, Commander Quinn, you're safe! I was worried that you guys, that thing looked tough. Huh, thanks, cadets, but you had nothing to worry about. My hero, Chase, was there to save me. There we are, Commander. Thanks, Captain! With the noise of the entire crew's chatter filling the mess hall, you find it hard to think. Your thoughts remain difficult to line up, instead flowing like mercury. As you watch Cassie raise the burger to her mouth, a memory does bubble to the surface. Wait, Cass, you can't... Huh? What do you mean? Your stomach, remember the doctor said... There's nothing to worry about, Lieutenant Kraft. Made a mistake in my diagnosis. The synthetic food is not the issue. But you're dead. You're dead. I saw your corpse. Captain Rosarium, thank you for joining us. I'm... The doctor! You once again bolt out of your seat in shock. Is there a problem, Lieutenant? You were dead! I saw you! We saw you! You can't be here! I understand. No one else on this ship is a qualified physician, Lieutenant. Therefore, no one was qualified to assess if I was really deceased. Fortunately, the injury was not as severe as had been assumed. But Hey, come on, Lieutenant, you're killing the mood! Doc's fine, wouldn't be up and walking about if he wasn't, right? Yeah, take it easy, Kraft. Are you feeling okay, honey? You wanna go to the sick bay for a lie down? Yeah, honey, do you wanna have a little nap? Be quiet, Ensign Cruz. Your mind is a maelstrom at this point. Everything feels wrong. Yeah. It's all happening. It's all right in front of you. New World Program. Sorta. How can you argue with that? Come on, honey, have some fries. You shake your head at the offer, placing your head back in your hands. Cassie starts rubbing your back again, although quickly begins eating her fries with her spare hand. You know what it actually reminds me of? It reminds me of the line in The Matrix, where, I think it's Agent Smith that says it, where it's like, oh, this isn't the first Matrix. We had multiple, like, prototypes, but they were too good. They were perfect utopias, and the human mind couldn't accept it, so you broke free. And I wonder if that's what kind of what's going on here, like, everything's too good, and that's what's gonna break me out of this. The crew eventually starts to chatter amongst themselves, again, whilst Captain Mayers takes orders and retrieves meals from the vendmates, serving them with a level of cheerfulness that continues to leave you disquieted. There, I believe that's everyone. Before I get started with my meal, Commander, I was hoping you could help me out with one thing. Oh, sure, Captain, what's up? Ship's emergency input codes, are they generated and adjusted regularly, or is it specifically prior to departure? Why would she ask that? Come on, Captain, you know that. You're the one that sets them, after all. No, you are. Well, it's initially prior to departure, then every 5 days, or per enemy encounter. Whichever comes first. Of course, thank you, Commander. No problem. Since the captain asked Quinn. Yes, Vanessa? At what distance do we typically start transmitting our security clearance prior to announcing we intend to dock at a colony? Oh no, oh no. They're extracting info! We're in a simulation, they're extracting info! What are these questions? Oh, that's, specific. I mean, and once we've been cleared for approach, is our docking confirmations going to be specific to the ship, or does it depend on a combination of factors? Hey, you're just a cadet. I don't think you need to know that. What's the makeup of the Europa Garrison Force? Guys, I'd really like to finish my burger now, if you don't mind. What's the target time for our colony defense force's mobilization? Well, you look up to see the whole crew staring at Cassandra. You look up malevolent intent in their eyes. Does the JUCF implement a series of local data stores, or is it transmitted across a large-scale network? Guys, what frequency are emergency requests transmitted on? What are you asking this for? Guys! How extensive are the JCF's nuclear capabilities? Leave her alone! Guys! Voice 1. Another failure. Which incompetent calibrated this Engram harvester? It's not subtle enough. we've been having difficulty with ensuring that the harvesting process is suitably. I don't care what you're having difficulties with. Rewrite the program to be more congruent with the query context, then run it again. Understood. We've had enough time to develop this. These failure rates are inexcusable. We've got these gather clones, neural pathways mapped out. This should be simple. It's bad enough that Unit Zero's jump drive malfunctioned. Are you telling me we can't even get the information out of a gather reliably? Well, she'll keep for the time being. At least we'll have some time to finesse the systems before we start receiving more. What about the other one? The other what? The other sample. The one the hunter captured alongside this gather. Oh, him. I'd hoped that having him in the simulations with the gather might help, since they seem to have some sort of relationship. Unfortunately, since his DNA isn't compatible with Mother AI, we can't run a specific engram harvester. Shouldn't we be able to run a linear review in real time? If you want to waste your time, be my guest. Hopefully going through recent events again from his perspective could uncover some more information. You're certainly welcome to try. If you do find anything pertinent, notify me immediately. Understood. Oh, one more thing. Do we have the output of the engram harvest we carried out on the additional subject? Confirmed. It's been archived. Under which digital lobe? It's in the default mode network. Node? Oh, we should... I'm gonna write that down. Hold up. Seems like a write things down sort of game. That works. Okay. 8, 8, 7, 0, 9, 0, 8, 5, 1. Colons might be important, but they do just do like every third thing. Okay. To reclaim what is the right of the people in their name and her honor, we do want okay. Hello? Oh, wait a minute. What the heck? These interactable? Oh, is this my... Is this demonstrating the kind of pathway I took through the game, maybe? Like my decision tree? Perhaps? Okay, now what? Life support system, link control systems, external. Compatibility. Identified. Central match rate, 99%. Oh, okay, there's an X there. I guess I've got this all in film if I need to reference it. Huh. Excellent. Send me that reference. It might be useful for review later. Now run this one again. Once you've started her engram harvest, you can do the same with others. Understood. Oh. What? Why did I have so many Cassies? May 6th, Planetary Calendar 214. Europa Colony, 1. Jovian Colony Fleet 2nd Military Court. Now that we're all here, we can begin. As was decided yesterday, this is to be the final day of the inquiry into the events that happened on board the JFS Gun-Dog between April 24th and April 28th. Our findings today will dictate the JCF's future actions around the matter, as well as what is to be done with the ship's crew. Guards, please bring Miss Marius Bartomuse to the stand. Welcome back, Miss Bartomuse. It's my pleasure, Admiral. Now, Miss Bartomuse, we've gone over everything that happened on board the Gun-Dog following its departure from this colony on April 19th up until the 24th. The last task of this inquiry is to find out what happened following Miss Lord's adjustment to the command structure up until your return to Europa 1. I trust we'll have your full cooperation in this matter. Hasn't that already been demonstrated? A yes or no, Miss Bartomuse? Yes, Commodore. Thank you. Now, we're aware of the effort made by Lieutenant Kraft to counter Miss Lord's mutiny. How did he go about this? Didn't think the lieutenant had him in him, if I'm being honest. Getting everyone to the bridge, calling out Lord to her face in front of the crew like that. Took some real guts. What did calling out at Miss Lord involve? It was actually kind of funny. Lieutenant was just telling everyone how full of crap Lord was, how she locked up Quinn and Bartomuse without a good reason. Anything Lord came back with, he just shot it down. It'd be funnier figuring her out didn't mean that I'd get put up against the wall for treason instead, but what are you gonna do? And the lieutenant managed to convince the entire crew that Miss Lord had been wrong. Pretty much, yeah. And then what happened? As soon as I put in the call for backup, Lieutenant Kraft came charging out of the elevator doors. Wasn't much help, though. Just freaked out when he saw Commander Quinn with whoever it was. Tried to get me to stop firing, but if I didn't keep them pinned down, they'd have gotten away for sure. Thought we'd be able to do something when Hansen turned up, but the lieutenant knocked him down and then ran after whoever it was. So after the exchange of fire, the lieutenant chased the attacker into the hangar. You got it? Why wasn't this infiltrator apprehended by security? It's not like we just let her go. Lieutenant screwed everything up, got in our way before we could take that woman down. Even tagged me to stop from firing on them. The lieutenant gave them a chance, they picked up Quinn and went for the hangar. After the lieutenant and this attacker entered the hangar, they both launched in separate crafts, is that right? Yeah, that's right. Why were they allowed to launch?
It wasn't my fault. I did everything I could to stop them from launching, but none of my controls were responding. I must have hacked the system to override my authority or something. It's the only explanation. Or they did it ahead of time. There's no way I could have known.
Even if you had lost control of the systems, we were under the impression that the hostile craft had been secured. Was this or was this not the case?
Well, the thing is that,
Cadet Grange, can you answer the question? Why hadn't the craft been secured?
That craft had been secured. Until it managed to break out, I had to bet my life that nothing could get through Cadet Grange's compound. The stuff was almost impenetrable. I'd be surprised if the team working on the Gun-Dog right now has got anywhere near removing the cargo crates that were stuck in it. That stuff didn't stop. There was nothing else on the ship that could have.
So the enemy craft was able to escape the restraining compound and leave the ship after the hangar controls were overridden. We can understand how it may have been difficult to do anything about that in the moment. But how was Lieutenant Kraft allowed to board and launch a Juno?
Hey, there was no way we could know that Lieutenant was gonna go and do something like that. Cruz was trying to get him to leave the hangar before it totally depressurized. Then out of nowhere, he jumped. Cruz tried to grab him, but the Lieutenant was gone before he got anywhere near. Surprised Lieutenant didn't just get sucked into space, pulling a crazy stunt like that.
And what happened after the Lieutenant made his way into space? I mean, I was able to track him in that weird thing after they launched, but moving so fast and so close together, I couldn't get a look on either of them. Lord was ordering me to take them both out, but before I could line anything up, Cruz was out there and the Gun-Dog won. Do you know who gave Cruz permission to launch? Hey, no one gave me permission to launch. But do you think I'm just gonna hang around and watch an amateur like Lieutenant Kraft get torn to pieces because he can't pod worth a damn? No way! Kraft showed some guts and I wasn't gonna let him die after he finally grew a spine. I went out there to give the Lieutenant a little bit of help. So the two of you were able to defeat the enemy craft together.
Of course Cruz was able to take it out. What do you think we dragged back into our hangar for you guys? Might be in a few paces, but those tech nerds love a challenge, right?
But the Lieutenant didn't return with you. Why not?
Because he disappeared, that's why not. He sold out his friend and used them to cover his escape. Lieutenant and Quinn are probably off plotting against us right now.
We're not here for speculation, Miss Lord. We're here for facts.
You're confident?
You're confident they disappeared?
They didn't disappear. Our records show that shortly after retrieving Lieutenant Commander Quinn, they were preparing to return to the Gun-Dog when another enemy craft appeared. Gun-Dog 1 was still busy with the original craft, and with a damaged unit, the Lieutenant was in no position to fight back.
They definitely didn't disappear. It looked like a boson jump, if you ask me. A what? A boson jump, Commodore. If you think about how our HFDD works by warping the space around the ship to allow it to move significant distances, then a boson jump does something similar but connects two unique points in space, letting a craft move directly from one point to another. Theoretical, of course. The energy requirement alone would... Alright, thank you, Chief Engineer Cathays. But if you were able to detect indications of a space warp, even if it was non-standard, why did the Gun-Dog not head out in pursuit?
Well, see, that's when the power went out again. It was like what happened on the 23rd with the Gun-Dog and the O'Brien. If we'd been any closer, the electromagnetic pulse would have overloaded our key systems and we'd have all been fried.
So the ship was immobilized. What did you do then? Guess I was lucky holding onto that trash machine. Must have shielded me or something. Once Lieutenant disappeared into that freaky light show, I dragged the wreckage back to the Gun-Dog. We got the power back online, then slunk back here, tail between our legs. Who ordered the return to Europa 1? Miss Lord?
Ha! No, that was Captain Bartomew's doing.
What happened to Miss Lord's assumed command?
Turns out that when everyone was busy with what was happening outside the ship, Cadet Grange slipped away and let the captain out of her quarters. She went up to the bridge, slapped Lord around a bit. The two were stuck up there when the power went off again. Can't have been fun for Lord. The cadet told me later that she even dragged Lord down to her quarters and locked her in there herself. Glad she didn't find me first, you know. After that, she rounded everyone up and told us we could either come back under her command or the chief would throw us out of the airlock then and there. Didn't really seem like much of a choice.
And Miss Lord? What happened to her after that?
It was an abuse of power, plain and simple. I wasn't given the opportunity to state my case. There was no hearing. I was immediately confined to quarters. As soon as the inquiry is over, I want to open a grievance against Miss Myers-Bartomew's.
Thank you, Miss Lord, but at the moment, we just want to know if you're aware of what happened after you were confined.
I'm sure you must have all the information you need from that from the ship's logs, Commodore. For the benefit of the inquiry, Miss
Bartomew's.
From that point on, the Gun-Dog's journey back to Europa 1 was uneventful and everything occurred as expected. We returned to the colony, immediately notified command of the craft in our hangar. I submitted my report on the events that had taken place since our departure. And here we are.
Thank you, Miss Bartomew's. The inquiry will be adjourning whilst we go over our findings. We'll be notified as soon as we come to an agreement on our verdict. Guards, please escort Miss Bartimeus back to the holding cell. With the exception of some spurious accusations from Miss Lord, it seems that the crew are all giving relatively consistent testimonies. What do you think, Admiral? Losing someone like Cassandra Quinn is a catastrophe. She was only a lieutenant commander, but she's worked on a multitude of different ships, spaces, and installations. In terms of her institutional and process knowledge, if she was interrogated, there's no saying just how much the enemy would be able to learn from her. They'd already have done that. We've been getting reports of attacks on various frontier outposts with similar patterns to what happened on the Gun-Dog. Loss of power, sudden illness amongst the command structure, attackers appearing out of nowhere. The list of officers we've lost is already too long. Female officers. Captain? Just something I noticed, Admiral. All the officers missing are women. Whatever is going on, we can't let it continue. I guess we could just, like, ban women from the force. Not to be sexist or anything, but, like, you know. It seems appropriate given the circumstances. The inquiry into the events aboard the JFS Gun-Dog will now reconvene. Guards, please bring in Miss Bartimeus. Welcome back, Miss Bartimeus. It's once again a pleasure. Admiral. We'll be brief. After reviewing the testimonies of you and your crew that served under you, as well as the ship's logs and recordings, we have come to our conclusion regarding your futures within the JCF. Miss Bartimeus, I'm sure you understand the severity of the claims that have been leveled against you, as well as the punishment for losing command of your vessel. However, as our investigation to Miss Lord's actions is still ongoing, that means that it is necessary for us to fully review the actions you have taken in more detail. For now, you will be placed under house arrest for the duration of the investigation. Of course. With regards to Hanson crews, for participating in a mutiny, you should be dishonorably discharged and facing a minimum of 10 years in prison. However, due to your performance in combat and experience with these new enemy machines, you'll be serving as a pilot in a new task force. This role is non-negotiable. In addition, you will be kept under supervision, and your time as part of the task force is in lieu of time served. This will also be the case for Haru Rumney. I won't see me complaining. As for Chief Engineer Mackenzie Cathays, you'll be transferred to the JFS Silvestris, where you will act as its Chief Engineer. The Silvestris will serve as the flagship of a new task force. Because of this, we are removing Cadet Dalton Grange from your instruction. Oh, but... Instead, Cadet Grange will be transferred to the JCF R&D department, where you will receive appropriate support to develop your new compound into a viable weapon. Thank you, ma'am. That's great. That's... Moving on to Warrant Officer Dylan Dees. We have reviewed your request and have decided that it is in the JCF's best interest to give you an honorable discharge from the fleet. Good call, ma'am. Your stipend and freedom are of course dependent on you ensuring that you do not disclose any information on what happened. Consider the matter highly classified. Don't worry about that, ma'am. Not planning on thinking about this anytime soon. As for Miss Lord, typically a mutiny against your commanding officer would result in your execution. But I didn't hold evidences. Quiet, please, Miss Lord. However, we do understand that due to the rapid development and confusing nature of events, it did appear that the crew of the ship could have been involved in a conspiracy. Had that been confirmed as the case, you would have followed the appropriate protocol by removing Captain Bartimeus from command. Given this, the inquiry has decided to be lenient. You will instead be placed under house arrest pending further investigation. Understood. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, I almost forgot. Dr. Cypher Rosario. Due to his death in the line of duty, he will be given a posthumous 2-rank promotion. As we have been unable to contact any next of kin, the doctor will receive a public service before his ashes are spread in the Europa Military Memorial Gardens. This judgment hereby concludes the inquiry into the events that happened on board the JFS Gun-Dog between April 24th and April 28th. All decisions are effective immediately. You are... One question before I leave, ma'am. Bartimeus, go ahead. What is the plan regarding Lieutenant Kraft and Lieutenant Commander Quinn? I can assure you, Captain, finding those two is a top priority for us. I see. Thank you, Captain. As I was saying, you are dismissed. Oh, well then. That has been Stories from Seoul, the Gun-Dog. That was a fun experience. Lots of twists and turns in that tale. I'm curious if this number, if we can do anything with that. Like, could we like access something in like menus or something. As for like, and obviously our ending here is like at best a little bittersweet. Like we didn't, well, and we did kind of lose Cass. We just also lost ourselves too. Imprisoned by these strange like aliens or whatever. There's like a whole load of Cassies out in, like, I don't know, like there's still a lot of questions that aren't, we've got like some implied answers but nothing concrete. Sequel based? I guess to an extent. I'm not sure what their plans are regarding kind of the future of this series, but I guess I'd be curious to see where things end up. Well, based on that little like map of the possible like routes to the game, it seems there's like kind of one other ending, which I assume is the ending if you don't try to rescue Cassie at the very end there. Not sure what if that's going to be any better, and obviously you probably lose Cassie, and I guess I probably get court-martialed too with everyone else, so like, I don't know, maybe there really isn't a good ending to this? Which is fine, that's a valid choice in storytelling. Yeah, it's a gritty war story. It's like, I think we probably got about as good an ending as you can. I don't know. It's not my intention to go back through and like play again and see like what the other endings are though. So at least not on stream. So if you're curious how things could have gone otherwise, then you know, buy the game yourself, I guess. But yeah, that was fun. Nice, relatively quick game. What was it, like 12 hours? So yeah, that's a nice sweet spot. Not like overly long to where it drags, but you know, I do think you're still like getting a meaty tale, getting your money's worth. And like 12 hours, I mean that would be that's kind of equivalent length to like an audiobook, you know? But yeah. Pretty good though, pretty good. I'll be curious to see what this developer does next. I think that a very kind of fun hybrid here between, it's almost like a hybrid between like a point-and-click adventure and a visual novel. And I think they use the resources quite well. I mean, having it all take place in just the one ship, very economic in terms of the kind of resources for, you know, making backgrounds and stuff. And makes sense thematically too, right? But yeah. Guess we're just kind of waiting here to see if there's anything post-credits. I mean, this is definitely the sort of game where there could definitely be like some sort of scene after the credits of like, ooh, what's going on with me being captured or something. And alright, thank you for playing. See you again on the Gun-Dog soon. Okay, so I guess they're planning on a sequel. Okay. So back on the main menu. I'm curious if we go into options here. Extras. So those are like our memories, characters, engrams. Oh, I see. Gotcha. So it like save. Okay, so that like saves like a route code, I guess. Oh, you know why? You know why that's a thing? That's for the sequel, isn't it? The idea is when they make a sequel, probably first thing that's going to come up is type in your engram from the first game. And then that's how it remembers what exactly happened in the previous game. That's why this exists. I see. Okay. Alright, well then. I guess I'll keep an eye out. I wouldn't necessarily expect the next game in the series to come out, like, soon or anything. But when it does come out, I enjoyed this thoroughly, so we definitely might be giving it a look. Definitely might be. Yeah, that's great phrasing. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of the stream there. Good place. End of the game. It's generally a good place to end. As for what's going on for the rest of this week, well, the rest of this week is over. Next week, our current plan involves 2 streams. There's an outside chance we might do a stream on Wednesday, but for right now, the plan is on Monday at 8 p.m. we will be playing AI to You, which, for those unfamiliar, is a very fun escape room game where you're kind of having to deal with some really AI anime girls trying to get in your way. A fun time. Good for a think. And actually, we're probably going to be spending a lot of time in the sci-fi themed escape room on that next stream in particular. So if you like sci-fi stuff, which I assume you do if you stick around for this whole stream, then yeah, we'll be delving back into sci-fi then. And then Tuesday, we're continuing Danganronpa V3. Last stream, there was indeed a murder, so now it's not to give too much away with what happened in the game, but like normally this is when we would then have investigations and a trial, but I'm not sure if that's happening this time, so we'll see. A lot of unanswered questions there, which makes sense because we're still in Chapter 1, so there's generally a lot of mysteries early in the Danganronpa game. But anyways, hope you enjoyed today's stream. Until next time, I've been CMeeCraft, and I'll see you in the next stream and or video. Goodbye.